Kelly and Huck will be joining us later. If you're watching, go ahead and say hi in the comments. And also, let me know if the fan I have on is too loud. I have it on because it's very warm today, but I don't want that to be too distracting. So, hello, Natalie. Hello, Kelly.
All right. A new spot.
Very exciting. Did the house showing go well? Like the
Well, it's a little. I'm like echoing. Why am I so echoey? But anyways, we hold on. So we are, but it requires a lot of work. So it's going to take a lot of discussion.
That's frustrating. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's like really cheap for like our price range. It would be like adding a bathroom, finishing the basement. A lot.
Hello, Huck.
Hello. Running a little late.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't sure. You're an echo, which is weird.
Mine's echoing too.
Weird, because I wonder if it's mine. Okay, hold on. Let me try something.
Like, are we echoing?
No.
It was
okay. Yeah. Okay. Because like when you were talking, I was like, when you said I'm echoing too, I was like, I could hear your echo. Yeah, and now mine's back. Now that Kara's back.
Kara, do you have it open in a different tab?
No.
Huh.
And you guys aren't echoing for me, so like I did turn my fan off. If that noise was maybe part of it, but I don't know. Let me try putting in headphones, and then if the problem is me, that should fix it.
Okay. Is it still echoing?
I don't hear an echo anymore.
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore either. So maybe she was fine.
No, it was echoing a second ago. I think that it is something on Kara's end. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I need to adjust my chair. Figuring out new location.
Oh, are you in a new place?
Yeah, we're in a rental. So yeah, we moved. We're in a rental, and now we're like looking at houses. So yeah, the whole process. But I mean, you don't want to see that side of the room.
Honestly, that's how like usually this chair has like a pile of stuff on it, and so when I do this, I'm just like, and then we just move the pile of stuff over there. So it's a mess. And also, I was on vacation a couple weeks ago and still have not fully unpacked. So there's an open suitcase with dirty laundry in it.
There you go. We're not echoing now. Wait.
Yeah, you're echoing again. Okay. And so, yeah, I don't know what's happening.
I don't understand because Natalie was saying that you guys were echoing.
Right.
So I don't know.
It only echoes when we talk when your audio is on.
Because when you left,
you're not echoing, and when you turn off your microphone, we stop echoing.
That is so strange.
I don't know.
Like, should we exit and try to re-enter?
Let's try it. Sometimes that fixes it.
We're all doing that?
Or just the two of us?
Yeah. Well, no, because then I think that would end the live stream. I'll stay on, and we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's try. Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
All right.
I'm echoing again.
Am I echoing?
Yes. No, like
Clara, are you able to leave and come back without it ending the live stream as like the host?
I'm gonna try. I don't understand why it would be doing this.
I have
So
no
let's
idea.
see.
All right. And then we're fine when she leaves.
Right. There's no echo anymore.
Something is happening. I don't know
We'll figure it out eventually.
I know. Everything, life is chaos. But like in this, so this is our like extra room, which will be the guest room, but we couldn't fit our, oh wait, nope.
Okay.
As soon as you got on, we started echoing.
I don't understand.
I don't know either.
Okay, should I try? Anyone in comments have any suggestions? We are open to hearing them. I really don't understand.
We've done this a million times. How is this happening?
I know. And it's weird to me that if mine is the problem, that it's not doing anything on my end. You know, like that's weird that my sound doesn't sound bad to me. Let me see if I can try.
It's so weird because when you leave, we don't hear an echo.
Yeah. Okay. How is it still echoing?
Well, we could test it. Nope, still echoing. Can you hear me echo, Huck?
Yeah, I hear my own echo. I also hear Kelly's echo.
And Natalie obviously hears our echo too.
Yeah. And I don't hear anybody, so like I don't
Well, I guess maybe one option would be one of us create a StreamYard and start over. But then
right. I wonder if that, like, I just don't even understand. I don't think any of none of the settings have changed. So
was it doing it before I joined? Like when
you
okay, wait.
It was echoing. Wait a minute.
Okay. How does this sound? I just changed a setting.
Okay.
I don't hear an echo now.
I don't hear an echo either. Figured it out. All right.
Success.
What did you change?
Well, that only took like 10 minutes. We figured it out.
I know. All right. Sorry for anybody who like actually joined on time and just got to sit there for the tech problems. But well, how are you guys now that? Yes.
Yay! We made it.
Starting off on a high note.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
Good to see live problem solving.
There you go.
But yeah, but you know, I'm doing all right. We were just talking about how there's just chaos on the other side of the screen. Yeah. So
turn our screen around.
I mean, if we can't see it, it's not there. Like
exactly. That is the that's kind of like the theater approach to life. It's like if you can't see it, it's not there.
Yes.
Yeah, I was telling Huck that like this is like our extra room in our rental house because it's like a 5-bedroom. It was like one of those old 5-bedroom houses. So this is an extra room, and we had meant to put our guest bed, which is a queen size bed, but since it's an old house, we can't get our box spring up the stairs. And so instead we put our daughter's bed in here, which is a double. And now we have, but we didn't want to get rid of the mattress because we're like, what if at the place we buy, we have it? Yeah. So our mattress is actually in the closet, like stuffed in the closet of this room. So we've got like the double bed and then like just a bare mattress in the closet. We're very glad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all like the extra stuff. Yeah. Because we have lots of extra boxes that are not opened.
Yes. Natalie says, speaking of chaos, I just threw out so much crap I had been hoarding in the bathroom. So many ancient toiletries that somehow you think you might use, and it's 10 years later.
Oh
yeah, like those little sample sizes where it's like, well, maybe I'll need this. It'd be wasteful not to save it. And then
or like all of those things that I try a lot. I like to try a lot of different products, and then even if I decide I don't like one, I still throw it out because I'm like, but what if I like it, or like I need something like this in the future? And it's like you already tested it and didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it's also just like I think the biggest hang up for me is like, but if I throw something out that's not like, done or bad or anything, I was like, that's wasting. And it's like, okay, but if I don't use it and I just hold it until it goes bad and then I have to throw it out, that's like not really any better. Like,
Right.
Well, like when we were moving, I was going through the toiletries, and do you know how many tiny things of toothpaste? Because I'm like, I need to start telling the dentist, stop giving me that little thing of toothpaste because I don't like the brand. I'm not going to use it. And it turns out I have 10 of them stuffed in, because it's like all the ones from my husband and me.
Yeah.
So we had so many, and my kids get them now too. And I'm like, stop giving us little things of toothpaste. I'm not going to use them.
I wonder if you could, like, if they're sealed, I wonder if you could like donate them somewhere.
You would think if they're sealed, they would take them at like a homeless shelter or
like some kind of shelter.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That is one of the things I'm kind of like both though like dreading and looking forward to. So I'm going to be moving in a couple weeks. Ooh. And I have not moved in a very long time. And so there's just like a lot of stuff like those random toiletries that have just sort of been building up over time, or like things that just, if you stay in one place for a long time, somehow things just like in closets, stuff just gets compacted, that then once you like take it out, you're like, how did this all fit in there? And so I'm like kind of dreading, I have not packed yet. I'm kind of dreading having to like go through all of that, but also kind of looking forward to the fact that I'm like, you know what, I have a good excuse to really just clear everything out and get rid of stuff, because it's not just like, oh, like what if I want to use this? It's like, do I want to move this to a new place? Do I care about it so much that I'm going to pack this and intentionally bring it with me? No.
Yeah, and I don't know, are you paying movers? Because that was what we kept saying. Do we want to pay someone? We've already bought this thing we're not using, and then we're going to pay someone to physically pick it up and move it somewhere else, like, because they're paid by the hour and all
like, I am gonna have movers, mostly just because I'm like, I just need someone to move my bookcases because they're big and I have 5 and I'm like, someone else needs to do this.
And I was like, I shouldn't say embarrassed, because we can all have whatever we have, but I was the one there in the truck, like while they were unpacking. They actually had me in the moving truck because it was raining on the day we were unloading, and so I'm like checking off things as they come out, and I'm like, another box of books, oh, that's another box of books, and that's another box of books, and after a while I'm like, I have a whole lot of boxes of books, and I just use the small boxes for books since they're so heavy, and I'm just like, that's a lot of boxes of books that you just took into that house, and I'm realizing how many that actually is.
I was like, I might actually like count all of my books at some point, because it's been a while since I have actually counted my books, and I do get rid of books pretty regularly. Like, I don't hold on to things unless I really like them. But even so, I feel like I'm gonna have a lot.
Well, my husband just said the most romantic thing the other day when we were looking at houses, and he said, wouldn't it be great if we had an extra room that could be a library? And I was like what did you say?
You're like, can I marry you again?
Yes, that would be wonderful. That is not something because he doesn't own books. He has like literally like 5 books, and most of them are cookbooks. And so so that would all be my books and the kids' books. So I'm just like, I can't believe you just said that.
That's true love. That's yes, needing a professional for the huge items. Like,
truly, the bookcases are like the largest things that I own. Although that's also true that I just want someone else to carry my boxes of books, because I don't want to do that.
I know.
I probably will. Like, one time, I don't even remember who it was, but years ago, I was watching some booktuber who was moving, and she had moved a lot of times in her life. And so she was like, my one tip is, do not have a box that is just books. Distribute the books through all of the boxes. So it's like pillows and books, clothes and books, so that it's not, because books by themselves are so heavy, and so it just distributes the weight more easily, and that has like stuck in my mind for years. I was like, that's that's how to move books. Just because there's
organization. Organization wise, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like that, and I'm like, but also though, then I would have to unpack sooner. because if I want to get to my books, it's like I guess I have to undo the like kitchen crap, like whatever. Oh no, Kelly, are we?
Oh no,
I can't hear you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I muted myself because I had froze for a while, I think.
Oh, I didn't. That's weird.
But I was like, all of a sudden, all the picture was gone. I'm like, is it just me? But it must have been just me because you guys were talking when I came back. I'm like, okay, it was just me.
Yeah. It was weird. Like we didn't notice anything, but my computer has done that before. It's like the screen just like goes black, and I'm like, and then it's fine. It's like I didn't lose the connection. It just wanted me to think I did. It was weird.
Yeah. Well,
just playing mind games with you.
Yeah.
I think it's the internet because my internet like bar thing is like blinking, so I don't know if it's like reconnecting, and that's why I'm back. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're having internet issues at the new place. Like,
do you guys want to introduce what you're gonna be like working on or anything?
I should probably grab my project that's just sitting there.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't have it.
You can decide live on camera.
I'm just here for the vibes.
Vibes, that's right.
Love it.
I had a project, but I don't really know where it went because I haven't worked on it in like over a month. So I can look for it.
Your project will be finding your project.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Andre, so I'm Kelly, if anybody here doesn't know, and I have not crafted in months because of the moving, and the one craft project I could find easily was the
oh, it's pretty.
It is pretty.
Afghan that I think I've done in like every other sprint.
Yeah, looks like it's going well though.
Yeah, but I have not touched this in months because I haven't done any crafting in months because
lots going on.
So. A lot going on. I haven't been reading. I haven't been doing anything other than surviving.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you just gotta survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. To craft another day.
Packing, unpacking, surviving. That's basically
the
whole life.
So the one I am working on, I'm doing a like short sleeved top. I'm working on the body part now, so I've already divided for the sleeves, and I think I'm about like halfway with the body because I think I'm gonna need to do maybe just like an extra inch at the bottom because I have been finding like as I make more actual like garment type things, I have been finding that like the pattern as written is like never long enough for me, and I am not a tall person, but I guess just like proportionally I guess my torso is a little longer than average, so I'm having to kind of like figure that out. But I really like the yarn though. It's like really soft, so I just keep like stopping and like holding it.
Well, that'll feel nice to wear then if it's
yeah.
I just went to the local yarn place here, and it is amazing. You guys should just come visit to come to the little yarn.
Yarn date. I love it.
It was so cute because like now I live in a town again, like instead of in the country, and so I can walk to places, and there's like a quilt shop and a yarn shop in like walking distance from my current like the rental house. And the yarn shop was so cute. Like they have like a little classroom area where it looked like there was just like a bunch of old ladies sitting and talking and knitting together. And then like the main store, I walked in and they greeted me and all that, and she's like, and I told her I was new and just checking out the like local stores, and she's like, let me give you a tour. And she went through and like talked about every single yarn and like showed me around the whole store. It was very sweet. And they have like hand dyed stuff from like local artists, and so it's gonna be nice.
So cool.
Nice resource.
So cool. Yeah, I love local craft stores. I don't have any in my immediate area, but there are some that are kind of like just a few towns away that I've been to, and it's just the cozy vibes and the joy of being in like a little crafty store is just like surrounded by like-minded people. Like it's great. It's like a bookstore kind of like similar feeling of like inner joy.
Yeah.
I went to the local bookstore today too. And like I'm all about like checking out all the local places, and it was by accident. Like my husband wanted to work from this coffee shop, and I'm like, well, I'll come and because my kids were in camp, and I was like, I'll come. And then I'm like, there is a bookstore across the street. Bye-bye.
Oh, you have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah.
Did you find your project, Huck?
I did. I don't remember where I am in it, but I had an embroidery project that I started a long time ago. This is what it looks like. And I think I'm almost done with it. There's just like a couple of things left to do. So I guess I'll work on that. Yes. Are we introducing ourselves?
Yeah, go ahead. Like,
yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Huck. My channel is Badger Reads. As you may assume, we talk about books. That's about
and badgers. No.
I don't talk about badgers enough. I really should more.
You should.
So
have you posted lately? Because I'm really behind.
I have not. I kind of actually took an impromptu break for the summer. So I have not posted since like the beginning of May or something. So yeah, this is my first time on camera in like 3 months.
Welcome back.
Yes. Well,
posted in a while either, obviously.
Yeah.
You guys are both moving. It's understandable.
Yeah, it's just a lot of things. So, I also always kind of have a slump in the summer, both like reading wise and video wise. I just never, and it's not because I'm doing things. It's not because I'm like, it's summertime, I have to get outdoors. It's like, I'm more like, it's summertime, I have no motivation to do anything. Even the things I want to do, none of it. Anyway, so yes, I took a kind of impromptu break for the summer, and I'm planning to like post again, hopefully in September. I'm moving at the end of August, so we'll see how quickly I get up and running with feeling like I am prepared. Not that everything has to look perfect, but like prepared enough to like film and stuff. So we'll see.
Yes.
Are you moving in town?
What do you mean by moving?
In the same town?
Oh, yes.
Like, because there's a lot of difference between moving in a town and then moving like another state.
Oh yeah, I'm moving very close to like where I am now. I'm actually moving more central to like, I'm moving to like the town center. So there will be more stuff that's like walkable, and it's actually, my building is right next to the library, which is very exciting. And yeah, it's like actually there is like a little town square, and the building is like on one side of the town square, and it's like right next to the the train, so I can go into the city and stuff. So it'll be nice. But yeah, so that's it's like in the same town. I'm just going more like central, so things are more like walkable and accessible and stuff. So that'll be good. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to like, this is the other reason why I haven't been like doing other things, is because I have just been obsessed with moving. Not even that I have to do a lot until like right before I move, but I've just been like obsessively planning what the apartment's going to look like and making a ridiculous number of Pinterest boards planning out every room and all of the things that I need to buy, and like, because I'm very determined that this apartment is going to be like very, like, I want it to be very aesthetic and very cozy, because I'm like, I spend a lot of time in my house. Like, I'm a very reclusive person. Most of my hobbies are solitary ones, and I work from home. So like, most of my life is just in my house. So I want it to be very nice. And also I want to feel like I can film in more places, because right now it's like, this is the one spot that looks nice, and then everything else is not great. So I've just been meticulously, like, obsessively planning everything, and we're gonna see if I can actually like make it happen. Because sometimes things look really great in my head, and then I'm like, all right, now we have to make this happen in the real world. Anyway, this was a very long, like, I was supposed to just introduce myself in my project, and now I'm just rambling. That's my life.
That's update. What we do. This is like crafty rambles. That's
Yes, that has just been, my life has been kind of subsumed by planning to move and decorate. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of embroidery,
yes.
have you guys, like, is this book already on your radar? Because it should be. It's Threads of Life, The History of the World Through the Eye of a Needle by Claire Hunter.
I
It
don't
is
think
so good. I just finished it a few days ago on audio.
Nonfiction?
I crafted the whole time. Yes, nonfiction. And it is so cool. It's like,
Huh.
yeah, it is exactly my thing, and I think you guys would really like it too, because it's about like looking at history through like textiles, and a lot of that, well, specifically embroidery, and a lot of that is about like women's history
Mm-hmm.
and how like traditional feminine crafts are treated as just like not being important, like that nobody would care about them or that they don't say anything. Like it's just so good. And I also highly recommend the audio because the author is Scottish and the narrator is also Scottish and has just the
Is
most
it narrated
beautiful.
by the author or is it
It is
different?
not. It is
Okay.
not. But just like the most beautiful, pleasant voice to listen to as you are crafting on things. Like the introductory like chapter is about like the Bayeux tapestry, which I like have heard of, but I never knew that much about. But it's like a big deal because it's this massive tapestry that is like one of the only remaining like visual things that we have from like this period in, was it like Middle Ages maybe, and it's like a big deal. And she talks about getting to see it in person, like it was on an exhibition somewhere, and she talks about like, you know, this incredible amount of detail and like how incredible it is to see it like in front of you as opposed to just looking at images. And then she talks about going to like the exhibit that they have next door about the tapestry, where they talk about like, you know, here's when we think it's from, here's who we think might have commissioned it, here's like all of the different battles that are going on in this tapestry and like all of this, and there is absolutely nothing about the women who made it. Like,
Oh my goodness.
we don't know who it was, but like there's not even any like speculation or like there's no there's like nothing even indicating that this was made by a bunch of women doing like hours and weeks and months and like years, like literally years of this tiny, tiny needlework to create this. And there's like nothing about it in the exhibit. And she's like so mad about it. And I'm like, I'm mad too. Like,
Yeah. Scribd has the audiobook, so I added it to my list of Scribd
yes.
audiobooks.
Yes, Natalie, it's so good. It's like, I really like historical nonfiction like this. And like, I just think it was a really, really well done. And it's like a lot of the examples or the specific like historical or like cultural kind of focuses that she did, some of them I knew about or had heard about, and some of them I like never had, and it's very cool. Highly recommend. Some of it will make you like really angry, but some of it is just like some of it's inspiring too. Also, like because of the historical periods it deals with, there are some like pretty heavy content warnings for some of the chapters. Like World War II comes up a lot, and or a lot in like a couple chapters, and then there's also a section dealing with the comfort women, which was also during World War II. So like just to be aware, it can get pretty heavy, but from afar, I'm secretly into embroidery, though I've never done it. I love the idea of being a secret embroidery enthusiast. Like, I'm just cheering you on silently.
You know,
Yeah.
the other day, okay, so as part of my I don't know, plans for decoration, I had been looking at different like wallpapers because I was considering like wallpapering a wall, maybe. I'm not sure. I have to find out if I'm allowed to. But I was like, I just got some wallpaper samples because I got too excited about it. And I found this one that I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I see this. But it looks like it's embroidered.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That is really pretty.
So I don't know if I would use this or not, but I just thought it was so cool that it looks like it's all embroidered.
Yeah. I actually, so the cover of the book that I like, the edition I read, I specifically got the UK edition because it's so pretty. And I'm like, if it's a book about beautiful embroidery, I feel like it should have a beautiful
Is
cover.
it the pink one?
Yes.
Okay, because when I googled it, there were a bunch of different covers, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty."
Yeah, that's the UK one, and I think it is so pretty. And for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason, when I was like, the whole time I was reading it, I guess I just assumed that that was it, like a photograph of like a textile, but not necessarily like an embroidered piece. And then I happened to be on the author's website, and she includes like images, because the book doesn't have images. She includes like images of a lot of these different like projects and things that she was talking about, and I happened to see that one of the samples that she talks about is the actual, like, look at that. That is like all embroidered, and I can't get over it. I think this is from the section she's talking about the Hmong people, or I think she also uses the Miao. I think like the name they use varies, but it was from that chapter, and like she's talking about all these like intricate details, and then I'm like, wait, that's the cover?
Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
Well, I'll put it on my list if I actually start reading again.
Yeah, someday. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. I actually, like, I feel like last time we were all talking, I was like, none of us was like reading very much, like, because I wasn't either. And now it's like I'm the opposite, because I've been doing a lot of knitting, which means I've been finally like doing more audiobooks, but also I am participating in like a team readathon this month, which I don't usually do. I'm very picky about them because I am like an incredibly competitive person, and so the instant that you make something a competition, I'm like, well, now I won't have any fun unless I win. Which is my toxic trait, but this one has been really fun. It's the Amazing Readathon. So it's like themed on the Amazing Race, even though I've never seen the show. And it's just been like a really good time, but it's why I've been reading so much this month.
Yeah. And I was gonna participate. I was gonna join Bethany's team, but like we got what, a week into the month, and I'm like, I guess I'm not doing that because I haven't signed up and I haven't finished anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I have just been picking up and putting down so many books that I'm like, I don't know if I'm like reading a lot of books or I'm not reading any books. Because I've technically started a lot of them, but I'm not reading any of them. So I don't really know what that means.
Yep.
So I've been doing a lot of audiobooks recently too, but like physical reading wise, I have not been really keeping up with it. But yeah.
I used to do a lot of audiobooks, but I don't know. I think the move and like selling the house also has just like fried my brain, and I just can't like concentrate. So I've just been watching a lot of like reality TV, not like drama reality, but like, baking shows and stuff like that. That's just like, this is distracting, but it's not like I have to focus. And so, yeah, I just basically have not been doing much. The only audiobook is like when we moved up here, like drove up here, I listened to like a middle grade book with my daughter in the car. And that was probably the only audiobook. And then like the book that Kara and I were reading together, I read half of that on audiobook towards the end because Kara like finished half of the book in like a day. I'm like, well, now I got to pick up the audiobook.
Sorry.
No,
the other what?
It turned out okay because I was like cleaning shelves. So I had
yeah. Well, and the other reason that I ended up reading the like, I guess it'd be everything after like the first third, I feel like I read really quickly. And the other reason is because I've been like playing a lot of this new computer game that my sister got me. I don't know if it was for my birthday this year or Christmas last year, but I've like just gotten back into it, and it is like the most adorable, cozy little cooking game, and it's like the perfect amount of like, I have something to focus on, which keeps me focused on the audiobook, but it's not like so distracting that I can't listen to anything. And that it ended up turning it ended up being just like a really good audiobook to listen to while I'm doing my little baking game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in this also like in this weird mood with my reading, where I am really mentally, I feel like I'm really in the mood to like read a long book. Like I want to just find a long book that I can really just get into. And then when I try to start a long book, I immediately am like, this is too long. This is taking forever. Why am I reading this? And then I start like almost like skimming it. And then I'm like, this is not, stop it. You know, if that's like,
Yeah.
and so then I stop reading it. So like, if I'm going to skim it, then like, why am I reading it? But then I'm like, right, but yes, I should find a long book to read. And the cycle just keeps going. And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want to start any of the short books that I have, because I'm like, no, this isn't what I'm in the mood for. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I get in those reading moods where it's like I don't know what I want, but it's not this.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep trying.
Yep. I don't know what I'm in the mood for either, because then I'll think, oh, I want something like a romance that's just easy. And then I start a romance and I'm like, these people are acting stupid.
Yeah.
And nothing's happening. And I'm just tired. And then I'm like, well, that's what a romance is, you know? Like,
yeah.
I put that down. And then I like, well, maybe a thriller. And then I pick it up and I'm like, these people are acting stupid.
That is the premise of so many books. These people are stupid. How else do you have a plot?
Like, do I just hate book characters right now? I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, okay, like I have realized this about myself, that like if I'm looking at a synopsis for a book and I'm like, this sounds like something I could be into, and then like where it's describing like I guess the inciting incident of the book is like, this person was always told they should never do this thing, and then they do this thing, and I'm like, I can't. No, like I just that is like a very particular kind of I don't know, like stubbornness, or like I know better than everyone, that I can't handle it. Like I'm sure there's been a few books that did that I still enjoyed, but like I don't want to start out the book already annoyed with the main character. Like I already know you're stupid. Like
yeah.
I don't know what I'm in the mood for. But one thing I have noticed is that because I'm so distracted, I'm not reading multiple books. I used to read like,
hey,
I would say I'm reading like 8 books at a time. Right now I'm like barely reading one. Like, so yeah, I have like one book that I've been picking up at night before bed. So I guess that's good. I'm focusing on one book.
There's a silver lining to everything.
Like forever to read this one, and it's Kara's read this book. It's The Lady and the Highwayman. Is that
yeah.
So it's like romance, but not like full on romance, like historical romance, and it's fun. It's good. Like I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just reading it like a chapter at a time.
Yeah. I remember, I think that one took me not a long time, but like longer than I expected, where it's like I'm enjoying it, but I don't think about it that much when I'm not reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the characters are stupid, at least. So
right. They passed that test. Yeah. I just one of the other audiobooks I finished, I guess just yesterday, is Home Fire by Camila Shamsi, which is a modern retelling of Antigone. And it's very intense, but it's like very well done. But it's really funny because like for some reason, like I have read Antigone the play, I have seen it, I have written papers on it, like I know the play really well, but there were still like plot things that happened where it was like the surprised Pikachu meme. Like I can't I was like, what? And then I'm like, Carrot, you knew this was coming. Like you really did. Like it was very good though. But and I mean sometimes I think that can be like an indication that a retelling is really grabbing you, where you're not stopping to think about like, well, I know where this is going. Yeah, but it was just funny. It was like I knew this. Why am I surprised?
Yes. But that's
or
because
like
you're
with a
absorbed.
good retelling, like even if you do know what's coming, where like it still hits, you know, because sometimes there are things where like, you know, there are some books where you're like, I knew this was going to happen, and so then it has no impact, and then there are some books where like you're like, I knew this was going to happen, and that made it worse.
Yeah. Well, and especially like the ending of this book, like the specific way they adapted the end of Antigone, I was like, that's how the book ends. Like, it's like, yes, Kara, this makes sense, and it's like, yeah. But I was just sitting here like,
every time I read like Eurydice retelling, I'm always like, it's gonna end differently this time. And it's not the point of like Hades Town. I mean, like the song is like the same old song. We're just gonna tell it again and again. It's like, yeah, we just keep doing it again. We keep thinking it's gonna turn out differently. Like, no, it's a tragedy. It's just gonna keep ending the same way.
Yeah, like that was exactly me with this one. Like, I knew, and I'm still like sitting here at the end of the book like, what?
Like, no. We just have hope, even when there is no hope that things are
yeah. I feel like there was another kind of like retelling I read kind of recently that did that, and I can't remember what it was. Yeah, who knows, but it's just, that happens to me a lot. It's like I read a lot of retellings, and yet there are still some where I'm like, well, maybe it's going to be different. It's like, why would it be different? It's like, you picked this book up knowing it wasn't going to be different. Like,
yeah. And then I get mad if they turn it from, because there was something I was reading with my daughter where they took a Greek tragedy, and they changed the ending. I don't know if it's because it's for kids, but I was like, no, it's not a happy ending. This should not. And I was so angry that they changed it. But then I also have hope that it'll be better when it isn't changed.
Yeah. Well, and also like, I kind of wonder why they adapted a Greek tragedy if they didn't want like it to end badly. Like,
yeah,
like maybe pick a different Greek story that doesn't end in tragedy, or just like realize that kids can handle it, that they can handle it if the story doesn't end out perfectly.
Yeah. That is a thing. Every once in a while, there are books that are like retellings of tragedies. I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I say, like, even if the people like reading it, you know, don't know the story specifically, it'll be like, this is based on a tragedy. It is going to be tragic, just so you know. Yeah.
Yep. Or even like just like knowing certain like conventions, I guess, like the classic that we're reading now, it's called Poor Miss Finch, and there's like a love triangle involving two identical brothers who like the same woman, so you know that's gonna go great. But like, it's funny because for the first like half, I would say I really preferred like the brother who met her second, who like is not the one who's like engaged to her and everything. Like, I just thought he was a much more interesting character, and I'm like, I have read so many Victorian books, so many classics. Like, I know he's not gonna end up with her. Like, I know it's gonna be the first guy who's kind of boring and kind of drives me bonkers because he just like, he's kind of like a wet paper towel of a person. Like, he's not very good at making decisions, and him putting off his decisions is like literally what causes the conflict of the book. So I'm like, I know that I'm going to be disappointed, but there's still this little part of me that's like, okay, but maybe maybe it's not going to go how I think. Although now I'm also annoyed at the other brother, so maybe the actual plot twist is like, I don't like either of you. There is no longer any way to make me happy with this.
Plot twist, I hate everyone. There's no way to make me happy. I like that.
And you're like, everyone should die. This should be a tragedy.
I forgot that I was supposed to be working on my embroidery. I'm just sitting here doing nothing, just talking.
That's allowed too.
Yes.
Yes, but I should actually finish this so that I feel like the fewer half-finished projects I have to bring with me, the better,
Yeah. I support that. Natalie said the Greta Gerwig's Little Women, and by gum, they really got me in tears, even though I knew what was going to happen. Like, Little Women is a perfect example of that, because I think maybe I read, was it like a retelling of that one? I don't know. But that's like another one of those where, like, every time, it doesn't matter which adaptation or like which one, like if I'm reading a retelling or if I'm like watching a movie version I haven't seen or something, I'm like, maybe this time I won't ugly cry through like half an hour of this movie. And it's like, no, joke's on you. You were wrong.
Mm-hmm. I have like, okay, so there's those movies that you just cry every time. That's like the crying one. One like way back in the day, it was A Walk to Remember, which
me too.
Cried ugly cried every time. And I had one of those days where I just really needed a good cry, and so I just watched the movie. And my roommate came running into the door, and she's like, "I heard you crying from the porch. What's wrong?" And I was like, "It's okay. I just needed to feel some emotion."
I just needed catharsis. It's all right.
She thought like she's like, "Did somebody die? Like, what's happening?" Like, nope, this is just me. Like, no, I thought I was home alone. I thought I was just gonna have some time to like cry it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I feel like, so like with the Hamilton, like the filmed version, like I've never seen it live, but I have seen the one that they filmed and put on Disney Plus a few times. And I had like, so multiple times, and every time I have watched it, I'm like, because we have like the duel and all of that and everything with his son, which is just like heartbreaking. So I'm like crying through that part, and then I'm like, all right, I've got it together, everything's okay, we're at the finale, we're all good. And it fools me every time. I'm like, I've made it, I'm okay. And then Eliza goes like, the orphanage, and I'm like, ah! Like, it's just like I've seen this now like 4 times, and every time I lie to myself and I'm like, I'm under control, I'm okay. I am not.
No, I can't even listen to the second act. I don't listen to the second act if I'm driving, because I had to pull over one time because I was like, it's quiet downtown. I just cry every single time. And I was like in a parking lot, like at a PetSmart or something, just like crying because I was like, I can't drive anymore. I need to pull over. Like, this is not safe.
Yeah. This is a hazard on the road. Yeah.
Not listen to Act 2 on the road, obviously.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes it's ones that I'm not necessarily expecting, and it's like the exact same thing. Like when I watched Coco for the first time, I like it was like 75% through the movie or something, and I'm like, oh, I really love this. I was like, why is it called Coco though? And then like you find out, and I'm just like sobbing through the last like 25 minutes, like not just like, oh, I have like a tear running down my face. I am like ugly crying, and I'm like, I know why it's called Coco now.
I have not seen that. I need to watch it because I started watching it with my daughter, and she was too scared by all the like skeleton imagery, and so we turned it off. But I should go back and watch it.
It's so good. It's probably, I think it's probably my favorite Disney movie of like the newer ones that they've done. Like, I really love it.
I mean, like the first time I watched Encanto, I ugly cried.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was like, and I think as an adult, like it hits you in like that whole like, especially as a parent, I'm like, am I ruining my children? Because you get the whole like, thing and
generational all trauma.
Yeah. So then I was like, when we watched it with the kids, I was like, don't cry, don't scare the children.
Yeah. I was like almost crying with the Surface Pressure song, because like I'm the eldest daughter, and I know that like officially Luisa, I think, is the middle child, but I'm like, listen, I have never felt so seen in my soul as like during Luisa's song. Like, I just can't. Yeah, it just like it got me, and it's like hard. I think it's hard to explain for people who don't like specifically connect to that one, because like the ending I think is much more like obviously emotional, and I'm like, here I am just like crying about like, you know, being an older sibling, and it's like, you know, give it to your sister, never wonder. Like I can't.
Well, I think it's it hits the different parts of sibling, because I cried every time also during Mirabelle's song of like, you know,
Oh
just
my
like
God.
not being seen, always being like the one that's kind of like
doesn't
have the special talent or whatever. And I'm like, as the younger sibling that like, you know.
Yeah, Mirabelle's song got me as well. Like it's just like she's just such a good person, and like she's just not appreciated. Like
nobody's like recognizing her for her
I
good
know. And like there's the part in this song where she I can't remember the exact wording now, but it's like about, you know, maybe someday I will, and she's describing the things that she can do with like her magic if she had it, and I'm like, but you do that, Mirabelle, like you do bring people together. Yeah, Coco, just that's another one. It's like I have seen multiple times, and every time I lie to myself and I'm like, I can make it this time, and I can't. Why do I do that? Encanto is really good. I really recommend it. Like I know it's one of those that like, you know, because it's Disney and because Lin-Manuel Miranda did the score, that like people started saying like, oh, it's like it's fine, but it's not like as good as everyone says. Like I personally think it lived up to it. But
I think it's good. I mean, I know we like to criticize Disney and stuff like that, but I would say like a lot of the more recent ones with the like real, I love these ones with these women power roles that don't have a romance, like you know, like Encanto and Moana, and like those. I'm just like loving that we're kind of like going away from like the traditional princess needs to have a man vibe. Like I think it's great for my kids.
Well, and the way that they're doing like the family stuff, I feel like has gotten so good in the like, I don't know, modern era of Disney, like whatever you'd call it, like because Encanto and Coco,
even
Tangled
Frozen,
gets me. Frozen, like Disney as a corporation obviously has like plenty of problems, but I think, I don't know, I feel like their storytelling is like pretty thoughtful. In terms of like the new stuff. So
and I haven't seen like the new Little Mermaid because I refuse to like pay for it in theaters. I'm like, oh, wait till it comes out. But like I appreciate that they like took the consideration to change words and kiss the girl, like to make it more consensual. Like, I mean, that's a big step for like Disney to be like, this is a non-consensual song. We should change some words to it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but it's like the fact that it's so controversial to be like, sometimes we know better now, and that's okay. Like,
well, they did the same thing in Aladdin. I mean, did people freak out about that? Like, because they changed some of the wording in Arabian Nights to be less offensive too.
Right.
Like, and they even like if you have Disney Plus and you try to watch the old Aladdin, they have like a warning at the beginning that it has some cultural insensitivities. And I'm like, it's okay to like still appreciate something from your childhood, but still say, hey, by the way, we were wrong back then to do it this way. We could still like it, but still recognize the problems.
Exactly. Natalie says, I like that the princesses or heroines aren't just loners where their family is gone or non-existent or evil. Like I really appreciate that we're starting to see more like complicated family relationships where it's not like I mean, I love Tangled. Tangled is probably one of my other like favorite of like the new ones. But I like that in the last few we're not just seeing like, okay, so you're either like completely happy all the time or you have Mother Gothel for a mother. You know, it's like there's a lot of like nuance. Like they're talking about like how, I don't know, like the conflict between like wanting to like make your family proud of you but also wanting to be happy and like all of that. I feel like it's just a lot more varied, which I think is good.
Yeah. So have you guys watched Barbie?
Not yet. I'm waiting until it's on DVD or like a streaming service, but like I can already feel it's gonna be a favorite. Like even just from the reviews and the like trailers and everything, I'm like, I am so ready to love this.
Yeah. I'm like super tempted, but I haven't watched a movie since before the pandemic, and I just like now can't see myself spending that much money to go and sit outside of my home and watch a movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just wait for it to come to streaming. But I was like very tempted with Barbie because it's just like all like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. Natalie has seen it twice. Well, that's a good vote.
Oh, so I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. But I mean, like movies are so expensive now.
They are. And yeah, it's just one of those. It's like it's so much money for me to be in a place that is less comfortable than my home, and also with the possibility of getting COVID. I'm like, why would I pay so much money to do that? Like,
yeah, and I feel like after because like we got more like streaming services, when we during COVID, because we're like, oh, this is like part of it is being at home, and I'm like, oh, I can like pause and take bathroom breaks. I can get up and get snacks that don't cost like $10 for one like bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I pay? I mean, it's so by the time you like have your snacks and your drinks and you're sitting and you pay for the theater, I'm like, I could have done this at home as just part of my like streaming service.
Yeah. And I just like in general, if I have two like experiences that are like comparable, but one of them I'm at home and one of them I have to go somewhere, I'm like, I'm pretty much always going to be, I will stay home where I can just relax.
Yeah. And I think now that we have to pay for a babysitter too, it's like, so not only am I paying for my experience, I have to pay somebody to watch my children for something I could have done when they're just asleep upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Huck, are you embroidering?
I am.
Okay, great.
I am making millions of tiny French knots. So I'm trying
nice.
to fill in the center of this flower. And French knots take forever. It's one of those things that French knots are like one of my favorite looking stitches and also one of my least favorite to do.
I can remember, have you been embroidering for a while or are you new to it?
I'm new to it. I like technically learned how to embroider when I was like 10 or something, and then I never kept up with it. And then like just I don't know, earlier this year, I was like, I should learn how to embroider because I kept seeing all of these clothes online that I wanted, but they were like so expensive because they had embroidery on them, which totally makes sense why like embroidery would make it a more expensive garment. But I'm like, I could just learn how to do that embroider myself, and instead of spending an extra like $100 for this, I could just spend an extra 10 hours. However, now that I now know how to embroider, I was like, maybe I should just buy an embroidery machine. So now instead of like spending extra money on clothing that is embroidered, I will spend even more money on an expensive machine that I then have to store. So this is
makes sense.
Is very logical. I don't know, because this is the thing is like I wanted to at least know how to embroider before I like bought an embroidery machine, and I know that like having an embroidery machine, I'm kind of like, it's kind of like cheating, but also I'm like, I know how to embroider, I just don't want to do it. It takes so long, and like it's not one of the like, it's fine, but it's not one of the ones that I particularly like as far as like crafts go. So
well, and also it's something where like when you craft for fun, I think like it can feel like if you're able to do something, then you have to make it instead of buying it, and that's not the truth. That's not the truth, you know. Like and it's also it's just like a different. It's like this weird overlap where it is an activity you enjoy, but you are also doing it to make something. And so
Mhm.
like for me, it's like if I look at like, okay, here's how much yarn it's going to take to make this like top or whatever that I like, and you know, plus like all of the time, and if I have to buy any tools for it and like all of this. So like if you look at the price and then you look at like the comparable price of like another, you know, item, it's like, yeah, it's not like financially, if that was my only concern, then I should just buy it rather than making it. But like that's not the only thing I'm wanting from it. Like, it's an experience. And then you also get a nice top at the end of it. Like,
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that like sometimes I definitely do think of like when I buy like crafting materials for things, like I generally do make functional things. Like I don't
yeah.
do I don't do a lot of things that are like just art for the sake of art, which there's nothing wrong with. I just don't find that as entertaining as like making something that I use in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where was I going with this? I got sidetracked about like art for the sake of art. Anyway. But like, oh, well, part of it is that like, if I'm making something, oh, right, I had 2 points I was making about this. One is sometimes I go like, oh, these craft supplies are very expensive. So like if I like, this is a shirt that I could probably buy for like way less than the amount of money it's going to cost to buy fabric.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also am like, yeah, but it's also like hours of entertainment for me. So this is both like clothing budget and entertainment budget, instead of buying like some other like form of entertainment for those hours. I now have this activity. So it like sort of justifies it in my mind a little bit more. Because like I also have things, like there are things that I want to make for, I'm thinking of making like for the where I'm moving to, for like decorating and stuff. And some of them I'm like, some of them are like DIY things, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to turn out, and is this just going to be a waste of money? And I'm like, yeah, it might be, but also again, it's like, even if I don't end up liking it, it's going to be like hours of entertainment for me, and frustration probably, but like hours of entertainment for me. So like, if I waste some money on it, it's fine, you know. I could have,
well, it's not wasting.
right, like I could have spent that money on something else that I would have spent hours doing, or you know.
Well, and we've talked about being like process crafters
before,
and like I definitely am. Like even when it does end up being like some kind of item that I do keep and use, like obviously I'm making this top because I want to wear it, and I do enjoy that, but a lot of the reason that I craft is like for the doing of it, not for like getting to have the thing at the end of it. So like if I, you know, spend all this time making like this scarf or something, and I finish it and I'm like, oh yes, that was fun, I enjoyed that, it looks nice. A lot of times I'm like, I don't need to keep this now, I got like the enjoyment out of it, and so it doesn't feel like, oh, I wasted all that time on something that I don't even like want to keep. It's like I did it, and that was the like fulfilling of its purpose.
That's how a lot of times I used to bake a lot more, and that's kind of how I always felt about baking, is that I would make it and then at the end I would be like, I've interacted with this food enough, I don't actually want to eat it. Like I would taste it to see if it turned out well, and then I'd be like, I don't actually want this. We've had enough interaction now, someone else eat it. But yeah, but about being like a process crafter, that's kind of the thing for me about embroidery, is that I want the end product. I don't really enjoy the process. And so I'm like, yes, I can embroider, I can do these things, but I really just want the end product. And so I like, not that it's like I hate embroidering, but it just doesn't, it's not like fun. This is a thing that I always like, sometimes, we've probably talked about this before, but sometimes, you know, people, I don't know if people say this to you, but people to me all the time when they see stuff that I've made, they're always like, oh, I don't have the patience for that. And I'm like, right, because you don't think it's fun. Like it doesn't take patience for me because I'm having a good time. it would take patience if I did not enjoy this and then I had to like force myself to do it. That's patience. And like embroidery, not that I hate it, but like it feels more like patience because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a thing at the end that I want. I just have to get through doing all of these tiny stitches to get there.
Yeah. So then you might as well pay somebody that's actually enjoying and you're supporting another crafter.
Yeah, the only thing is like I also want to like one, I do make some of my own clothes and I would like to have embroidery on them. And two, I also make like costumes and stuff, and some of them I was thinking of embroidering. So those are things that I can't like buy pre-embroidered. Sometimes you can find some very cool appliques that you can put on stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about having a YouTube channel is like I feel like it gives me a place to wear the like weird things that in my normal life. Like I have this one pattern book. I am so excited. I'm like, I am gonna make a like fantasy elf cloak at some point, and it will be a wonderful time, and I will love getting to wear it in videos, and it's gonna be worth it. It's like I don't need to think about like, oh well, if I can't wear it to work or something, then I shouldn't waste time on it. It's like I will do this for me. And also I can justify it by saying that I will use it for something.
Do you ever go anywhere that you like dress up for? Because like every year I go to the Renaissance Festival.
Right.
And so like
I've never been to one. I don't know if we have. I'm sure there are some in like the general area. Like I'm sure California has them somewhere.
Right,
but
maybe it's really a very large state, so
yes, that is very big on those kinds of.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's near you.
Right. I would like to go to something like that at some point, but like I don't have. Like that was one of the things. Like I like Halloween, but I'm not like super obsessed and like into it like I know some people are. And part of that is I think because the things that I always enjoyed about Halloween are not really parts that are something you do as an adult.
This is my problem.
I loved the dressing up and going to school in costume. That was like peak.
Well, I didn't go to school, but like yes, the dressing up and you go trick or treating and like
yes, the trick or treating like
or like my friends had Halloween parties that were like actually fun.
Yeah,
I feel like adult Halloween parties aren't fun.
That was the stuff I enjoyed, not like the like scary movies or like going to like not serious, but like cool adult Halloween parties. Like those are not the things I enjoyed about Halloween.
Or I feel like a lot of people, well, at least I remember when I was in like college and in my 20s and stuff, like it would be like, oh, for Halloween, you like get dressed up in a terrible costume and go to bars. And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. I don't want to wear like a sexy bunny costume and then go to a bar. I want to wear like a head to toe, like elaborate Renaissance costume that I handmade and like go somewhere where someone will appreciate it.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, yes, similar problem. I'm like, that's why I like the Renaissance Festival, because I'm like, it gives me some place to like wear my costumes and is actually fun to me because there are so many like, you can go you walk around and you can go to little shops and you can people watch, and like people watching is honestly one of my favorite things. I love seeing what other people make, you know? I am hoping that in my new place, I will be able to set up a better like crafting space so that I can make more stuff. And also hoping that if I like get it set up how I like and I can make everything look nice, I'm like, maybe I can make more videos where I sew stuff. And then it would also feel like I have more of a reason to like make things and I could like use them for stuff, you know? Not that I'm gonna like, there are people who have entire channels that are like costume YouTube channels.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna go that far down, but like it might be fun to just have some videos where I like dress up.
Natalie also misses trick-or-treating. Like
trick-or-treating was great.
I want like more activities that are intended for adults that are like the fun parts when you were younger. Like,
Yes.
I know people have been talking more recently about like, hey, we should have alternatives to hanging out that don't almost always involve like alcohol, for example. You know, it's like just because you're an adult, it doesn't mean that the activity has to be drinking.
Right.
And I feel like a version of that is like, can we bring back like the fun kid parts of Halloween where you get like you go all in on your costume, you maybe go trick-or-treating, like all of that. Like that was
Yeah,
what
I also
loved.
feel like as I got older, it became more and more like you can't look like you tried too hard or cared too much about your costume. And I'm like, I try very hard and care very much about my costume.
I care
don't
much,
know.
thank you. Yeah.
I don't know where you're coming from because this is great. I love dressing up.
Yeah.
That's when I just did theater, because then you can dress up.
Yeah, that was always one of my favorite.
There is like a, you know, before COVID, there was like a, what's it called? Like a Halloween event thing that they would have at the zoo that's near me. That would be like they would decorate for Halloween and people would come dressed up and you could go see I think you could go through like the reptile house or something. It was at night, and so there were like certain nocturnal animals that you could go see and stuff, and like that was very fun.
Yeah.
I do remember though that I went with my sister. Maybe we only went once. I don't know, but my sister and I went, and I dressed up as, I don't even know, I was like a demon or something. I had like painted my face completely white, and I had like these horns, and like I had done this weird makeup that was all like kind of like white with like a brick red contouring, so it looked really weird. And there was this lady on the train who was giving me a real weird look, and I was like, please don't think I'm an actual demon and confront me, because I really don't want this to happen right now on the train, because that's what it looked like. She looked like she thought that I was actually I was like, this is the Halloween costume, please don't talk to me.
Yeah.
So it was fine though, but I was like very concerned for a while on the train.
Or like I remember when I was little, my family did one of those like sleepover at the aquarium things.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It was really cool. It was really fun. Of course, my brother was like, we have to sleep by the sharks, so like we did, but classic. But it was very, very cool. And it's like that's one of those things like that is so fun as a kid, is like getting to have a sleepover in a place you don't normally get to. And I'm like, I would still have fun with that as an adult. Like,
honestly, yes. That would be very fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's also why people go to like Comic-Con and stuff. I've never gone to an actual con.
It's just too many people for me.
I feel like I would want to try going one time just to see what it's like and see if I enjoy it. But part of my problem is that, like, I know you can really dress up as anything. However, most of it is cosplaying. And for me, there isn't anything I would particularly want to cosplay. Like, I don't feel like there are, like, I just don't feel like I'm into media in the way that translates well to cosplaying. You know? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It's like the kinds of costumes that you enjoy wearing and working on are not the ones that would come up a lot at like a Comic-Con kind of thing.
Yeah, and there aren't like specific characters that I want to recreate. And also because most of the media that I consume at this point is really books.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really like there's not a visual element to them. So like I could read the book, figure out what this person looks like, and try to cosplay them, but who would know?
Right.
Who would know who I am?
That was always a problem with Halloween too, because I've been like a big reader for like basically my whole life. And so I always had to try and balance like, okay, I would love to like put together some kind of costume with this character I love, but do I really want to be explaining all night to somebody like who I am, or should I just do like something more Natalie is hoping to go to the Northern California Renaissance Fair this year. Haven't been to a Ren Fair since I was a teenager. It's in San Benito County. I'm sure there are others in other parts of the state. Yeah, I definitely would want to go to one at some point. I just haven't been.
Yeah, I haven't been either. And my husband used to go to them, but I think it was hard. When the kids were really little, I'm like, then I have to carry you around.
Yeah.
But now they probably could walk on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the Renaissance Festival. As a kid, I still do, but I do think that I didn't get to go as often when I was little, probably because it is more difficult to go with children. But then there's a point where I was old enough that I could convince my parents to take me to the Renaissance Festival.
Yes.
I also used to go to I found that there's some fairy festivals, and there's a Green Man festival in my area.
Yeah.
Those are usually more in the spring, though, I think. I'm not sure. It's actually been a while since I've been to those. Those ones are also fun, but they're a lot smaller, so there are a lot fewer vendors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like my 8-year-old would love to go to a Renaissance fair. She's because she's the history fan, and we're doing the Middle Ages right now, which is earlier than Renaissance, but she has gotten all into the King Arthur stories and the Camelot stories. So I'm I feel we could learn about the Renaissance, and she would be all about it.
Honestly, nobody dresses Renaissance at the Renaissance Festival.
It's just costume, yeah.
It's it's 90% fantasy, and then it's all medieval inspired.
So she would love
it's not. Yeah, so if it's much more medieval inspired fantasy, not really Renaissance. I feel like they're the only people who actually dress Renaissance are the people who sometimes some of the people who work there, who are because at the festival, at least that I go to, they always have some storyline going on, and there's the king and queen of the Ren Fest that year, and I think they actually are dressed Renaissance. Other than that, although they also do theme weeks, because I know there's always there's a pirate week, and there's a Scottish week where everyone wears kilts, which is always interesting. But yeah, anyway, Renaissance festivals are super fun.
Yeah,
and I think they're even better if you dress up. You don't have to, but they're even better if you dress up.
Yeah. I feel like that would be at least half the reason I would want to go. Is I want to dress up and it's not weird.
Right.
This is the whole trick-or-treating conversation again.
Exactly. It is how, you get to dress up and but you have actual activities to do,
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same thing about I love going to a fun wedding. Not one with a lot of drama, but when you just go and you get to dance and have a good time and hang out with your friends. And I'm but then everybody gets married off, and then it's oh, we're done. We don't get to
this is why don't we have more parties where you get to dress up? Which I think is part of the reason. I've never been to the Booknet Fest, but don't they have a prom?
Oh yeah.
Which I think that's
I just want to go to prom. Okay.
Right. I think that's part of why they do that, is because people are kind of as adults, you don't get a chance to just be fancy and have fun.
It's the combination of getting to dress up really fancy, but getting to hang out very casually. It's that is the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have galas, but I'm man, you gotta pay $100 to go to one of those or something.
And that's more a serious adult party,
Right.
Go and dress
some places that have masquerade balls in the fall and winter, and I was I don't know if I want to wear a mask, but I do want to dress up, and I would consider going to a masquerade ball.
I would love to go to one of them, and I think a lot of them, from what I've heard, I've never been to one, but from things I've heard about them, I think that a lot of them will have like the masquerade part, and then like at midnight everyone takes off their mask, so it's like you can have it both ways.
Yeah, that
Yes, horseback and fight choreography. Yeah.
There was one of the places I lived, I can't remember, I think it was when I lived in Washington, there was like a, you know, local ballroom dancing place, but they did every Friday where they would just do like a party basically, and all of the teachers would be there, and you would just like, if you didn't bring a partner, you could just dance with one of the teachers, and it was just like, yeah, they would just have like swing and foxtrot.
Yeah.
They would just be doing all that stuff, and it was just like a party with dancing. I'm like, this is what I want. I just want to like
Yeah.
go to a party with dancing. Like,
yeah.
but not a club, because I don't want to go to like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do that kind of dancing. Like,
Yeah.
people spilling beer on me. I want to just like have like fancy dancing.
Right. Fancy
Yes.
dancing. I agree.
That's true, actually. I took hello. I took ballroom dancing in college, and it was so much fun. And getting to use that would be very fun.
Mhm.
Yes. Nelly says various queer proms that I noticed at various events in the past 10-15 years, like as a safe space for people to dress up and be comfortable in a way they may not have been able to.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like situations where like having a kind of designated time for that would just be like really nice.
Yeah. I feel like also at this point in my life, I have money to buy a better dress.
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be as like, I don't know, like I feel like the prom dresses were, and then maybe I was in the 90s, right? So it was like very sparkly
Mm-hmm.
and like very bridesmaidy looking. And I'm like, there's so many like nice dresses, like, you know, like you could, that I would actually like want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my prom, I guess, was in like the 2000s, like early 2000s, and so fashion was not at its peak at that time. I remember, so I did not wear this dress, but my like dress that I wanted so badly was this one that was, so it was like it was strapless and like drop waist, so it had like a fitted bodice down to like the hip, and then like a very poofy skirt, and it was like a gray silver pinstripe. And I was just like, why is that the dress that was like my dream dress that I like did not wear because it was like I didn't get it. It was so expensive. Also, why is that dress so expensive? It's so ugly. But like I was so obsessed with it.
Yeah. It really is like messed up that like the designated like these are clearly like prom dresses like intended for that are so expensive when it's like literally we're all teenagers. Like
What, who's buying these?
Like that seems kind of like, I don't know, messed up. Like
yeah.
To make it like so expensive.
Yeah. Mine was very similar to that though, Huck. Like one of my prom dresses was like the fitted bodice. It was velvet. It was black velvet fitted bodice, and then had this huge, like, you know, like the poofy, like Cinderella skirt that was like purple pearlescent. Like that, like kind of.
Yes, that pearlescent look.
And I was
like the frosted lips kind of thing.
Yes, that with the velvet fitted corset top, and I'm like, yeah, that
the height of fashion.
That was fancy.
I don't think mine was actually that bad. Like I think it's something that I would still consider pretty, because I wonder if just like the gap of like a couple years between your prom, Huck, and mine, I don't know if like
the thing
things really changed, but like I actually remember
I really like now.
Yeah. I actually,
so it's a good thing that I couldn't get that one because I would have regretted it.
Mine was like it was like a teal kind of like silky looking, and it had like a little poof, but it wasn't like the "you look like you're wearing a wedding dress" kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it had like really dark blue, like lace looking overlay that had like some sparkles on it. So it was kind of that like sparkly vibe, but I don't know, I think like with the cut and everything, it actually was like, I remember it being very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't think any of mine were.
the dress that I actually ended up with, I went to prom multiple times, but the last time, the dress that I actually ended up with, I think was actually very good, and I still really like. But it was a dress that I got from like ModCloth or something. It was short. I don't know how to explain it. So it was sort of this like bronze pink color, with like kind of gray blue lace on the bottom, and it had one of those like origami neckline kind of things where it's sort of like folded. And then I altered it because it was like kind of a baby doll shape, which I didn't like, and it didn't have straps. And so I found matching fabric and I put like straps on it, and I made like a waistband and put like this big brooch that kind of looked like a silver starfish, and added more like lace to the bottom so it was a little bit longer. It ended up being very cute, and it had like pleating in it. Anyway, the dress I ended up with, I actually really like. And I had shoes that were like kind of a pink silver, and the heels looked like unicorn horns.
Oh, goodness.
Which was very cool. I really love those. But yeah, the dress that I wanted was that really ugly like pinstripe one. But the one I ended up with, I actually really like. I think it was probably for the best.
I don't think I had good fashion sense, or it was just because it was the late 90s.
You were not implicated, Kelly. It was just
because
a product of the times.
All of them were bad except for like my one homecoming dress when I was in my rebel phase of like not wanting to be like other girls. And so like our friends, we were like, oh, we're not like the other girls. So we all just went to like the thrift store and bought dresses. And my mom was so mad because she wanted to go to like the department store and get the fancy dress. And my dress was like $2 and was from like the 70s and had like the big peasant, like, flouncy thing. And it was like peach colored and had the like, it was very 70s, like had the like kind of deep V, but then was kind of flowy in the sleeves and everything. And I was like, that actually I would still like. And that was like my $2 dress to be a rebel.
Yep.
One of the times that I went to prom, because they allowed you to like go multiple years, I tried to make my own dress, and that was before I really knew what I was doing, and it was terrible. It just like, it was a really like dark red, like embroidered taffeta, and it was supposed to be kind of like a tea-length fit and flare type of thing, and it just fits so badly. Like I just did not make a good dress. It was just so bad. And then it had like this gold braiding around the waist, which also just like was not good. I don't know why I picked those colors. Not that they're like inherently bad, but they're not good colors for me. I don't know. And then
you
the
have
other
questions.
Yeah, I don't know why I was like, this is the way to go. So that looked terrible and fit terribly. And then it also was one of those dresses, like, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I feel like sometimes there are clothes that just make it look like you have bad posture. You know? That's what I just like see pictures of myself, and I'm like, I've seen pictures of myself at that around that same time where I'm wearing other clothes and my posture looks fine. But somehow that dress just makes it look like I have terrible posture.
That's funny.
Anyway, yeah. And then there was another time that I went that I did buy a dress that was like, it was like light pearly pink on top, and then like a champagne pearly color on the bottom. And it just was one of those dresses that I'm like, this, I looked like I was a child wearing an old lady's dress. Like, what was I doing? You know?
Yeah.
The colors were, it was a much better color choice for me, but the cut was just like, that's not for you, you know? Anyway, but I got it right the last time. The last dress I really liked.
Mm-hmm. I also went to prom 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. We were a small school, so you could go junior, senior year, and then if you were asked, you could go. Mm-hmm. So I went my sophomore year because a lot of my friends were juniors that year.
Yeah. I think we were like, you could go, once you were 16, you could go. So I think I went like 16, 17, 18.
I've always thought that's a weird rule where it's like, you're too young unless you're going out with an upperclassman. Like, that seems, I guess, I mean, with friends, I think it would make more sense, but I've just always thought that's interesting. Yeah. I only went once, and what's that, Kelly?
I wasn't dating him. I never actually went with a boyfriend. Like, I friends.
I only went once, and I probably wouldn't have if it were just like left up to me. It wasn't, I don't know. I think I would be really excited to go to something like that now. But like, as a high schooler, it was just like a lot of anxiety for me. And I think I would have preferred to like go as more of like a friend group kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Which is sort of what ended up happening, but not really. It was just like a weird experience.
Yeah, that's what we did every year. There were people in the friend group that would have been dating, but for the most part, it didn't matter if you were dating. Like, we all just went together, and you know, like, we would just kind of pair off and be like, oh, well, we're gonna go together, you know, even though we're not like dating, just because it's part of the group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went with like a group of friends.
And we just all danced together. Whether like, even the people that were like dating, we're all just like dancing together.
Well, yeah, and we did that as well, which was fun.
Yeah, like, it always seems like in the movies they like make a big deal about the dates, and I'm like, it was never like that for us. It was always just like, okay, we're all gonna be there, and you know, you might ask someone, like, because this was before proposals or whatever. Like, this would have been
gosh,
just like, you just were like, oh, you want to go to prom together? Yeah, sure. Like,
yeah.
And I think like, I mean, like at my school too, and from what I've heard from other people, it was more like, there would be some people who were going like as a couple, like usually people who had been together for like a few years in high school, and they would go as like a dance, like a couple. But then a lot of other people, it's like they were just going, and sometimes they would end up pairing with somebody from the group, but like it wasn't like in the movies where it's like, this is when your crush like asks you and blah blah blah. Like, it wasn't that
I definitely never had a crush ask me.
Yeah.
I think the one time that was drama was that I wanted to, like, I had an on and off again, like, in one of the guys in the group that like we dated like 3 times during high school. And we never went to prom like while we were like dating. And so like my junior, we were starting to like, you know, flirt again. And I was like, oh, we're going to go together as a couple this year. And then he had just broken up with his girlfriend. So I was like, oh yeah, definitely happening. Then she had already bought a dress. So he just took her out of like, you know, feeling bad. Like, you know, she's already bought the dress. We're just going to go as friends, even though we're broken up. I'm like, no, this was my chance.
This was what, I remember one of the things that I was upset with was like, I remember there was like, we had like a few exchange students at our school, and there was one who was from Italy, and I thought he was just like so cute. Like, a lot of girls in our class like really, you know, had kind of like a very casual like crush on him. And I remember that like we were kind of hanging out with like overlapping groups of people, so we were all there sort of together. And I remember that he asked like basically every other girl to dance, and he did not ask me, and I was not happy about it.
Oh,
I know.
The
I remember
worst.
being like sad. Yeah. I was like, there's not really a way to
rude.
like take that. Like,
how do you take that in a good way? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so glad I'm not a teenager anymore.
I know, I am too. Like, just thinking of all that drama, and I'm like, I don't miss the drama. I mean, I miss some of the like just like hanging out with a big group of friends, because I feel like as adults you don't always have that anymore.
Yes.
Like having a big group of friends, because like we used to just go like hang out every Friday night just at like the mall or at a restaurant or at somebody's house, and you know you don't really like do that as an adult very often.
Yeah.
So like I miss that aspect, but I don't miss any of the drama.
I don't miss being in high school at all. Yeah. I mean, like, there were good pockets, you know, like I really loved my drama group and yeah, like hanging out with friends and stuff like that. But like as a totality of an experience, 0 out of 10 would not recommend. Like ugh.
And you just like see like the, you know, like sitcoms make it seem like people still have those groups of, and maybe there are like a lot of those group of friends out there that I don't know, but like, you know, there aren't like Friends or How I Met Your Mother. Like these are just the same group of people that hang out all the time. I'm like, where is my group of like adults that we just hang out all the time?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, I have learned, though, I am not a group type of person. Like, I did have a friend group when I was in high school. And then, like, my freshman year of college, I had a friend group. And then I just was like, I don't enjoy this. I like one-on-one friendships, maybe like a small group of like 2 to 3 people, but like a friend group is not fun to me. So I stopped trying to do that because it just was like, I don't like this. I don't like groups of people. I am a one-on-one kind of friend.
Yeah. Well, that would be the difference between introvert. So I'm that weird extrovert that I'm not the loud one in the group, but I like to be around a group of trusted people. I don't want to be like out in a big group of strangers. I don't want to go to like the amusement park or the club, but I want to have a room full of people I like and just hear them talk. And I mean, I participate in the conversation, but I'm usually like the quieter one of the like group, but I just want to like be around them.
I feel like you're one of the extroverts who like introverts, we depend on you because you are like friendly and outgoing, but not like pushy about it. It's like, we appreciate you.
I feel like I am sort of like the opposite of what you're describing, where I'm like, I either want to only interact with people in like one-on-one, or like I say, you're like, I can do like 2 people at a time. Or I want to like, I'm fine being out somewhere where it's like there's a group of like strangers, as long as I don't have to talk to them. I'm like, yes, let's just like be among the people, you know, but like don't talk to them. I don't want to be in a situation where there is a group of people that I also have to interact with, whether I know them or not. I'm like, I don't want to interact. Like, you can all be people that I'm like, you're great one-on-one. I don't want to have to talk to you in a group context. This is just not fun to me.
my cutoff is like my prime spot for like, this is the perfect amount of like people to be interacting with, is like, I want to still be able to all participate in the same conversation, which I feel like for me is probably around 4 people.
Is that counting you or not counting you?
Counting me. So maybe we're like, yeah, so I'd say around 4 or 5. And like, that's like my sweet spot, because I don't like when you're in like a group that is big enough that like you're either having like you're not able to interact with everybody, which like, assuming if I was there with friends, I would want to interact with all of them. Or it's like you end up with the one person who's like not a part of the conversation, or there's like a couple people who kind of aren't able to like jump into the conversation because like there's just, it's like too many people. So I feel like 4 or 5 is like my prime, like the upper limit of like what I think an enjoyable hangout experience is. But I also like, yeah, one-on-one or like, you know, just a couple other people.
Yeah, I feel like I could probably, I guess I have had times where I had like friend groups where it was like maybe 4 or 5 people. But if it's more than that, it also really depends on the people. Because I think that the thing that always like bothers me is kind of like the drama of it, that I feel like sometimes it's like once you get people in a group, like drama ensues, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Or having to like pick, like if you're, it's like if you have like a group of like 10 or 12 people and you're all going out to eat somewhere or whatever, it's like the stress of like, all right, where do I sit? Because I need to be with the people I'm most comfortable with. But also, what if they're not talking about something that I feel like I can join in? Like, it's just, there's too much calculation.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess when I was younger, I did have like, when I would go to camp, I had like a small group of friends that I always really enjoyed. And part of that is because they were very chill. And I was like, this is okay that there's like 5 or 6 of us because everyone's very chill about it.
Yes.
And part of that is because we're at camp and we're on vacation. And so no one's stressed. And so there's no like people freaking out about anything.
Well, that's
and there was no like people liking each other within the group, which was also a benefit.
Yes.
Yeah. I have like some of my good friends that we don't live in the same place, so we can't hang out. But like when we would go on vacation before COVID, we used to go on vacation every year, and 2 of those people we worked at camp. So like my husband and I worked at camp with these 2 other people, and so it's like the 4 of us can go on vacation together. We can have a conversation. We can hang out all the time, but we also could like pair off, and it wouldn't have to be like my husband and I paired off. Like we all could just pair off and like hang out, and then like we also can all just like sit in a room where we're all reading.
Yes.
We're doing our own thing, and we are perfectly happy to just like be in the presence of each other, but not actually like interacting.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the things that I always really like, and I feel like was more of like a thing when I was younger, is that feeling of like, I don't care what we're doing, I just want to like be together, you know, that there was something that felt very like magical about being together with certain people, you know, like certain groups of friends that I just remember a lot from when I was like
my
younger.
mom would always joke and call it parallel play, because that's like what they call it with like little kids, when it's like you're both coloring but you're coloring different things and you're just kind of in the same space. And so my mom would like tease, like me and my sister would like both be in the same room, and like I'd be reading and she'd be like, I don't know, on her phone, or like one of us would be playing video games and the other person would be like doing something else. And it's like we were hanging out because like we were intentionally staying in the same area, but like not really interacting directly, but it was still fun for us. Like,
yeah. I just need them to be in the same like place so that we can all like,
yes.
Because it's hard to find those people you could just like sit in the same room with, and we'll just like every once in a while talk, but we're just gonna do our own thing.
That's one of the things I feel like is like, I mean, as you like get older, like people move to different places, and that's kind of the problem. I have a friend that I'm trying to convince to move near me because she's looking for a job right now, and she is looking for jobs in my area. And so I'm like, it's a great area, you can come visit, you should move into my building so that it can be like we're in a dorm where you can just like go visit your friend in the same building, because that would be great. Like, because I'm like, I just love, also that was so fun when it was like you could just walk to wherever your friend was, you know, you're like in the same building or down the street or something,
and just see if they're there and want
to
we're like, I'm going to the grocery store, let's go. Like
much more spontaneous.
Doing like errands with friends is so fun.
I love it.
That's what, my nephew, he's like, you know, he just graduated from college, and you know his college experience is so different than ours because he's been in COVID. And so it was very much like this close knit, because they had bubbles and stuff like that, like people, like very small groups of friends. And they basically, he and his girlfriend were like, we're gonna move to this city. We would like to have an intentional community. Who wants to join us? And now they rented a house, and they have 3 friends from college that are all have moved. So this is not where they went to college. It's where we live right now. So they have all moved to this town and are like, this is where we're going to get jobs. Instead of applying just anywhere, we are going to all intentionally live together.
That's cool. Here.
I love that idea, and I wanted to do something like that after college, but I feel like too many people had like things that were location specific that they had to do, so I like couldn't get that to work. But I think I would still do that now. Like, I love the idea of that, where like, you know, you still have your own space, but you're like just everyone's in the same area,
like a booktube apartment complex. Like,
yes, we should just like get a bunch of booktubers to all move into an apartment building.
Well, it's like when people are like going to the same like convention thing, and they're like, oh, let's get like our room for BookNet Fest together, or like whatever. It'd be like that, but like more long term.
Yeah.
Well, like that's basically what we've done with this move, was that we really like COVID like really made us realize how like alone we were in that area, and nobody we wanted to have like a bubble with and trust like in a bubble. So like we were like, oh well, we need to like just go, instead of like being like, this is the place we want to live, like this location, then we just need to go where the people are that we want to be with. And so I mean, luckily we are really enjoying this location now that we're here, but like this is where my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live, and my nephew and his like cohort. And so like we are like purposely like, this is where we're gonna be, and we're gonna be with these people.
So I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, it's like it's like a TikTok content house, but less terrifying and more quiet reading.
It kind of depends on which booktubers are involved, because they're like, if it's book Twitter, like there would be a lot of drama.
The chill.
I'm thinking like being like people that you're already comfortable and friends with.
Yes.
Otherwise it'd be like the booktube version of like Jersey Shore, where it's just all like fighting and like drama.
That would be so funny if it was just people like creating in person drama about books.
Like somebody gets pushed into a pool because of like the whole like star rating controversy, you know.
Oh my god, yes.
I'm not like a reality TV person, but I would absolutely watch like a booktube version of like any of those shows. Like it would be so just wild.
Just get like the most controversial people from book Twitter and put them in a room together.
Yeah. There would be carnage, but
I think because like I'm in the like older generation. I mean, like I'm not, like in terms of booktube, there's like people in their 40s, and we are like definitely like just chilling out here and just talking to people. And most of the time we are not like big booktubers, because you know how many people want to come and see the like 40-year-old woman talk about books other than other like I mean, and obviously you guys are younger, like we like are friends, but it's like I don't know a lot of other booktubers my age that are like in the like drama, like the book Twitter drama or the book talk drama.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I don't even use Twitter. Like I am just like, I don't need to even know that this is happening. There are a couple of YouTube channels where like once in a while they'll bring up something that's happening on book Twitter, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad that I was not following this.
Yeah. Natalie says, as a writer, I always wondered what a writing competition reality show would be like. Lots of frowning at laptops. It reminds me of like when people first hear that there is like drama on the bookish internet and they like just can't believe it. They're like, but aren't you guys just reading books? And it's like, no.
Oh, you know what you need to do is get like a group of like Sanderson bros and then people who hate Brandon Sanderson books and just tell them, and like, oh my god, that would be so funny to watch.
I thought you were gonna say like Sanderson Bros and like the Sarah J. Maas stands and just have them like fight it out.
That would also be good.
You know, I'm not like a super Sanderson fan, but I have enjoyed Sanderson books. But you know, like there is like a Sanderson bro specific.
Yes.
And I had a plumber that was a Sanderson bro. He came because like he was like one of those that like is looking at my bookshelf and making comments, and he saw Sanderson on there, and then he just like went off. And I was like, well, actually, I haven't finished that because I'm really bad at finishing series. So he was talking about like Cosmere, and I'm like, well, I've only read the first Mistborn book, and that's it. And then he was like going on like, I cannot believe it, and all this stuff, and I'm like, it's really okay, dude.
Like sir, calm down.
I will get to it eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's like, the thing is like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think I'm where you are at, Kelly, is that like I have genuinely enjoyed the majority of the things I read from him, but I'm not like the ride or die like aggressive. Like there is like a very like bro-y type of reader and like fan.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those like communities where if you just don't love something as loudly as them, they take it as like you are insulting my favorite, which is like with Robin Hobb. Like I think there's
something without going like same with Sarah J. Maas. Like that is like the girl version, you know. Like I mean, not the maybe guys watching it, reading it, but like I don't personally enjoy it, but I could see like casual people that are like, yeah, I enjoy a Sarah J. Maas book also, but they're like the hardcore. They're like, she's amazing, and everything she writes is like fantasy romance. Like, calm down.
Yeah, I think that like I've only read one Sanderson book, but I did not particularly like it. But the thing is, I didn't hate it. I just was kind of like, oh, this was overhyped. But it's more so the like reaction from some of the fandom that has made me like bitter towards it. That like, if that had not happened, I probably never would have thought about it. I would have just been like, oh, I didn't really like that. And then like, forget that I read it. But because I like, anytime like, oh my god, if a guy finds out that you read fantasy and then they're like, oh, do you love Sanderson? And I'm like, no. And then like, oh, you're not a real fantasy fan, like immediately become defensive about it. And I'm just like, all right, 90% of them I'm like, I can promise you I read more fantasy than you. Like just because I don't like Sanderson doesn't mean I'm not a Sanderson like a fantasy fan.
Like that's like literally how I feel about like Robin Hobb is like people act like you don't pass the test if you don't like just the number. Like some people are like genuinely really nasty about it, but some people it's more just like they literally cannot fathom anybody not being obsessed with her books, you know? So like it's like you watch their content and like the underlying assumption is that Robin Hobb like invented fantasy. Like she like invented the printing press. She like invented like life as we know it. And it's just like, I mean, I actively dislike her books, but I feel like even if you're just kind of neutral about them, they get like so like personally offended. Like I really like her fandom, there are pockets of her fandom that I think operate like bro fantasy, and I see a lot of that in her writing too, and I honestly feel like that is one of the reasons why she's so popular, even with fantasy readers who like make a point of not reading books by women very often. It's like that's because it feels like it was written by a man. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I know I enjoyed her books more than you do, but to some extent I agree. Like there are things about her books where I'm like, yeah, I get it why like the people who only read fantasy written by men are like, this is the one woman who's an exception. It's like, right, because her books read exactly the same as like all of these.
It's like very male gaze, like when she's
I mean, there are things that I enjoy about her books, but I can definitely see that. But yes, I don't know. You just get some weird reactions from people sometimes. There was one person I was talking to where like they said something about like, oh, have you been converted to the like religion of Sanderson? And I was like, nope, but not for lack of people trying. And so like they're just not for me. And then like immediately got very defensive and was like, oh, like he's only like the most prolific fantasy author of our generation.
I remember you telling me about that. I'm like,
when does prolific equal quality?
Right, that's the thing is I was
and
like,
that's not even true.
I don't think that, I was like, one, I don't think you know what prolific means. Two, not even our generation. He's Gen X and we're both millennials, so like also untrue. Like I just think that you have some factual untruths here.
Well, and like that's like saying that Stephen King is the best horror just because he is like
right. And I'm like, there are 100% of people who've written more fantasy books than Sanders. Yeah. Like he does write a lot, but there are people who have written more.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that always bothers me also, where I'm just like, I don't think you know what that word means.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, is that and like too petty in an argument when you start correcting people's vocabulary?
When they're that condescending, I feel like they're inviting it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know why book reading has to be a competition. Like, that's why there are so many authors. Like,
right.
Because we can all appreciate different. And if you love Sanderson and he's your favorite author, like, all power to you. But that doesn't mean that and there's so many different types of fantasy. Like, it's not like, you know, if you like Lord of the Rings, another one where people are like, well, you can't be a real fantasy fan if you don't like Lord of the Rings. And it's like, well, but Lord of the Rings is a specific type of fantasy, you know, and what if my type of fantasy is not that type, you know? I mean,
yeah. And I was just thinking about Lord of the Rings as an example because like I do really love those books, and in terms of like the timeline of fantasy becoming more popular, it's like important. But I never want to be one of those people who's like, if you don't read this, then you are not a real fan. Like there's just that's never okay. And also just on a more like, I guess, I don't know, superficial or like selfish level, if you genuinely love an author and you would like more people to try them, don't go about it like that. Like that is like the worst way to get somebody to try something.
Like who is gonna go like, oh wow, now I want this random person to think I'm cool, so I need to read this book. Like I don't understand. This is like super condescending human being.
This is why I will never read One Piece. Is that I tried One Piece and I didn't love it, but I even said it in my video, I was like, I would maybe try this again someday, maybe. But I wasn't enjoying the first volume, so there's other things I want to like pursue first. And the amount of people that like came to my little channel to comment about how if you don't like One Piece, you can't enjoy manga, or like that you can't judge whole manga series based off of the first book. And I'm like, well, technically I can, because it's my life and I can decide like whether I want to continue something. I mean, I could watch the first like 5 minutes of a TV show and say, this isn't for me and I am not enjoying this. Like I can make choices. And but like people all the time, and I'm like, well, now like I don't want to touch that series with a 10-foot pole because all of the people are toxic in the way.
Okay, I have been like, I really enjoy your like trying manga series videos, and I have the ones picked out that I want to try, and I'm like planning to do that video at some point of ones that I've been interested in, but like I've been putting it off because I don't really want to like summon the bros. Like I really don't.
Of all of like my videos, I like, and I'm glad that they've become successful, because there are people that like, you know, you or some other people that haven't read a lot of manga, they're like, oh, it's fun to like see someone try it. Or even there have been really nice manga fans who have been like, oh, I appreciate somebody trying the genre and like, or the type of media, and like, you know, finding ones they like and everything. But I'm like, if you are gonna come here with a bunch of rude comments, it's like the surefire way for me never to read that series.
Yeah.
So like, what are you accomplishing?
Yeah. Natalie says, my toxic trait is I hate when people misuse the word prolific. I try not to be a language prescriptivist, but yes, if they're being condescending, absolutely correct their usage. Yeah, and I think that's because like, not just like, well, I don't feel that bad since you're being like rude about it, but also like if you are being like, if you are speaking to somebody in a way that is like so condescending, like you're doing that because you think you're like smarter than them or like better than
Yeah.
them. And so like, yeah, okay, well, if that's like the way you're approaching this conversation, then I can reciprocate by being like, actually, no, like incorrect.
Yeah. Be like, do you know words?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
I definitely have like word usage things like that where
Yeah.
I also try in general not to be one of those people, but there's like a few specific ones where I'm like, I physically am having a hard time like not speaking. Like this is like this is painful for me. I need to walk away.
Yeah. Can we like take a brief break, or I can just go and come back?
No. I was actually thinking that it would be a good like actual sprint time. So
okay.
Do we want to do like, I don't know, what sounds good to people? Like the 15-minute mark?
Yeah, I was
like, so
15.
It'd be about 25 minutes?
Sure, because then I could say goodnight to my kids and
yeah.
Oh, good.
maybe
Okay.
get some food. My husband like bought me Chinese food and it's just like sitting there.
I might grab a snack, even though like dinner, like I'm gonna be eating dinner like not that long after, but I am hungry.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna sprint until 15.
Great.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome back.
Hello. Get adjusted now. Okay.
Did you start reading?
Did I start reading?
Or yeah, I thought that's maybe what you were doing.
No, I was totally scrolling.
Oh, that's reading though. You're reading captions.
Yes, I'm reading. No, but guess what I got today at the bookstore?
What did you get? Oh, I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know it was so short.
Yeah.
But supported a local bookstore, support an author I enjoy, so I'm excited to check that one out. I was actually my brother-in-law was also out to coffee with us. I came back from the bookstore. I showed him what book I got, and I was like, "Have you read Braiding Sweetgrass?" He's like, "Well, actually, I teach portions of that in my class." I'm like, "Well, never mind."
That's okay, I guess, if you're gonna show off. Like,
I guess you know about her or something,
That's funny.
Yeah, he does like he's now a pastor, but he was a seminary professor before they moved up here, and he still does some classes, but his one of his main focuses is on green burial. So I'm assuming that's what he was using it for, the environmental connection.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that one. Huck, you've read the Moss one too, right?
Yeah, I just got the Moss one.
Oh, yeah, I have not read Braiding Sweetgrass. I actually bought it recently, so I do need to read it. But I read is it called Gathering Moss?
Yeah, that's the one Kelly just got.
Yeah, I read that a while ago, which I enjoyed. I feel like sometimes with books, I'm like, this was a lot about moss reproduction, which is not that there's anything wrong. I just kind of was like, this is a long part and not the most interesting part to me about moss. Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, and it was a good book, and like I enjoyed it a lot, but it just was like a real focus on a aspect of moss that I was like, this is not as interesting as some of the other stuff that you've told me about moss.
That's funny.
I'm interested though, because I feel like she can take things that I didn't know I was interested in and make it sound interesting. And so we'll see, because I never thought I liked moss or had any particular feeling towards moss.
I do like moss.
I am moss neutral.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of moss. I'm moss positive, so
so now it's like maybe she will turn me to moss positive.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten this was about moss. For some reason, I had in my head that it was about fungi.
There are other books that are about fungi, which I have also read.
Yeah. And that was like, I was interested in that because the little bit that I've learned about fungus when like I was teaching my daughter homeschool, I was like, the network,
it's so weird. And also it makes me be like, we're all gonna die from some kind of fungal infection. That's my takeaway.
The fact that they are closer to animals than plants, I'm like,
and that they talk,
I'm uncomfortable.
They like talk to each other, and they're like, why we have trees, basically, like the whole like.
Did you read What Moves the Dead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which also makes me like, before I was just fascinated by fungus, and now I'm like, okay, now I should be afraid of fungus.
Right. I do not trust the fungus. I feel like mushrooms or fungus is like I was gonna say plant, but they're not plants. It's like an alternate version of like an octopus. That it's like you are like so smart that it's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
And like that's what I feel about fungus as well.
And also, but like unlike the octopus, which maybe every part of the food chain is important, so maybe that our ecosystem would be important. But like fungus is like crucial to our whole, like, not just one ecosystem, like so much of our world, like, because that's when I learned about it with my daughter. Was we were learning prehistory, and like how if we didn't have fungus, like trees would not have been able to have the network to grow, and like all this stuff, and how fungus helps trees talk to each other. And I'm like, what like
there's this book that I read that was all about this. That is called Entangled Life, which like the guy also has, it was one of those books. He's the best name because his
Martin
name
Sheldrake? Is
Merlin Sheldrake
Merlin?
is the best name that I'm just like, what were your parents thinking? Like they were they were thinking great thoughts, but also what were they thinking when they named you Merlin when your last name was already Sheldrake?
It sounds like the kind of name where it's like, yeah, I believe that you write a book about fungus. Like,
yeah,
there's an illustrated edition.
Oh, really? If there was like a character in a book named Merlin Sheldrake, I would be like, this is only a book kind of name, not a real person name. But yeah, I read that book. It's very interesting. He has a lot of stuff in it about like doing mushrooms and how mind expanding they are, which was not the direction I was expecting the book to go, but it was very interesting.
Oh, my husband might be interested. I mean, not that but he read the one that was by Michael Pollan that was about taking mushrooms, and he was like, there's just some fascinating stuff in this book. And I'm like, okay, but sure. I mean, be interested in what you're interested in learning about,
I feel like mushrooms and fungi and everything is having a real like resurgence in like media, because like there are books, I feel like a lot more books have that as like an element. There's that show that's like The Last of Us or whatever. I just feel like it's a thing that's been coming up a lot recently.
And in fashion too. And like I've seen a lot of mushrooms on fabrics and stuff, and a lot of times they are the cutesy one, but then there's ones that are like real, like look like real mushrooms too.
Yeah.
So it just like it seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like yet another thing that we have like effed up with global warming, because I was reading something that was talking about how like we're all very fortunate that our body temperature is not ideal for the growth of mushrooms, but that might be changing, and I'm like, oh, like I can't. No,
the dead might actually happen.
Yeah,
that's why I was saying what I have learned is we're all gonna die of a fungal infection at some point. That's what I took away from reading about them.
Honestly, I don't want to mess with mushrooms. Right. No, like
it just feels like also there's no way to like truly get rid of some like types of I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The chief negotiator of SAG-AFTRA is named Duncan Crabtree Ireland.
What?
That sounds like a spinner wheel name, or one of those things where it's like, what's your birth month? What's the day? Like it's just like three words put together.
Yes.
Duncan Crabtree Ireland. That's incredible. Thank you for bringing that information into my life.
Yes.
These people know. Did you?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, since we talked a little bit about books, the one book I did read recently was Love, Sugar, Magic. So thank you, Kara, for bringing that into my life. I was like, I got about halfway through the book and I'm like, why am I not reading this out loud with my 8-year-old? Yeah. And I was like, this is a problem. I should be. So now I have to like wait a few months so I don't have to read it again like immediately.
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I liked the second and third ones even more, but the whole series I just really enjoy. Like,
yeah,
I love it.
Though now I feel like I should read it in October, because or beginning of November, because it is definitely set around Dios de los Muertos.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I will read. But there is that whole like boy girl thing, which she is not into, like the whole like crush type thing, and she'd probably be like, ew, yuck.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't think that comes up in the other books really. I don't think it does. But if it does, it's definitely like really minor. But yeah, there is that kind of thing in the first part.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely not like we watch what did we watch? Oh, we watched Aladdin, and like the newer one, the live action, and like we get to the end and she's like, oh, just turn it off. And I was like, girl,
That's really
It's one kiss, and it's like Disney rated kiss. Like,
Disney rated kiss, yeah.
okay.
It's like the Princess Bride movie, the grandson who's like, is this a kissing book? Like,
Yeah, except for she has not come around at the end.
yeah.
She's still in the like, ew, why do I have to watch?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty normal 8-year-old reaction though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd rather her be like that than be like one of those like lovesick 8-year-olds that are like, what? I'm not sure that your hormones are ready for that. Like, you must be watching something that is like
right. I always like it's hard for me to see stuff like that and not be like, I think you were like weirdly socialized. Like, I don't think this is something that like an 8-year-old would just like
yeah. I mean, it makes sense with like, 11, 12-year-olds. Your hormones are starting to like ramp up and like pushing that possibility. But like, 8-year-olds, you're usually like, we're still doing just the like playing around, hanging out thing.
Yeah.
So for this week, so she's been to camp, and this week she gets there on Monday. Everyone's a boy except for her. She's the only girl in the group, and she like looked devastated and like I almost like felt bad leaving her, and I was like, it's okay, you can make friends with boys. There's no like you can be friends with boys, you can be friends with girls, you can be friends with anybody of any gender. You're like, we didn't quite get into the like gender binary, but it's like, you can be friends with anyone. And by the end of the week, she's like, you have to stay after because you need to talk to my friend's mom and we're gonna hang out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, that's good that it worked out for her. Boys
can be friends too. It's fine,
I guess.
It was pretty funny though. I mean, like, it was good though. Her counselor was her cousin, so I think that helped her at the beginning. Like,
that probably, I'm sure that makes it easier. Yeah.
But it is. I mean, like, it's probably hard to just go and be like, I'm the only girl in this whole group of active like second grade boys.
Yeah. When I was little, I had there was one point where when I was, I don't know, maybe how old would I have been? I don't know if I was like 6 or something. I had 2 friends that were boys. They were brothers, and realized after a while that for a long time they thought I was a boy, and they did not know.
Well, at that age.
Yeah, I had short hair then also, because I had, as a child, I had cut my own bangs, and so then I had to get a short haircut. and I only wore like boys' clothes.
Yeah.
And also I was like probably 6 or 7, so it's not like so wild that they thought I was a boy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I got a phone call from my sister, so.
Oh, hope everything's fine.
Yes, everything is good.
And it was so funny because by the end of the week, my nephew was saying how, so my nephew was my daughter's counselor this week. Kara was what I was saying, and she was the only girl with all these boys at like second, third grade boys. And Justin was saying by like towards the end of the week that basically like Bernadette was in charge of all the guys, like they would be like doing something where they're investigating in the creek, and they're like, Bernadette, come over here, what is this, and like tell me about it, help us with this, and like would like pull her, like all the boys were like pulling her to be, and then she's like, you guys have to be patient, I'm working with this person.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Like, you go, girl, you just be like the CEO of the
I know of all the other 8-year-olds, like. She's like, I'm sorry, you'll have to make an appointment with my secretary.
Because she's very into like the sciencey nature stuff, so like she knows a lot of that stuff. So I think like they were just like, oh, she knows the things, we're gonna bring her,
win them over with your knowledge.
Yeah,
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Bernadette's gonna be like the camp counselor by the time she comes home. Like,
I know, by the end of the summer she'll be like, well, I'm gonna run this thing next year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's feel like that's one of the signs you're doing a good job, you know, with them. It's like that she's doing that and she's comfortable doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of that is the like homeschool first couple of years of like gaining her confidence and like a subject she loves, and then like now you are used to being around groups of kids, so you're using the knowledge that like
that was a thing. So like I was homeschooled growing up, and that was a thing that like when I would go to camp in the summer and my friends eventually would be like, why do you know things about everything? And I'd be like, because I just learn about the things that I think are interesting, and then that's the stuff I talk about. So it seems like I know things about everything, but it's just because I know things about the stuff that I make our conversations be about.
Yeah. Well, and that's what she wanted to focus on, like science and history when we did homeschool. So that's what we did. And then now like she's going to like nature camp. So it's like, of course, she knows all the like stuff that's at the like second, third grade nature level, obviously. Like,
yeah.
She's going to be teaching that class by the end of the summer.
It's fun. Yeah. But my youngest one, you know, we were kind of like, originally I was going to homeschool when we were in Ohio, and then like when we moved here, we're like, well, maybe she would do better with some more structure, but I wasn't really wanting her to go like straight to public school for kindergarten. And so now we've got her into like a Montessori school. So I think that'll be where it's kind of the middle ground, because they still like believe in pursuing like what the child's interests are and stuff. So I'm like, okay. And they do a lot more play, you know, kid-led play. So I'm like, okay, this will be my compromise, that if I can like let her pursue her own goals at home, that she can like have a school that will let her do some of that.
Yeah. I didn't think this through because I just put lotion on and I'm like, not going to be great to hold on to knitting needles. So we're going to just wait a minute.
Are you still embroidering, Huck, or are you taking a break?
Oh, I forgot that I was doing that.
I gave up on the crocheting like a long time ago. I was like, I'm good. I've got enough crafting. Well, I'm also trying to find this like balance of when I would like, I mean, I told you guys about like my diagnosis of like rheumatoid arthritis. So towards the beginning, I like was hanging out with my mom. She crochets all the time. So I was crocheting all night, and then like I couldn't like grip for like 3 days after that. So I'm trying to find where is that like level. So tonight I was like, okay, I did it for like probably an hour.
Yeah.
See if that hurts tomorrow. And if not, then we can like up it and like, you know.
Have you found that any of those exercises can help? Like, I know that there's a lot of like content about like for knitters or crocheters is like some kind of like exercises or like I don't know, what else would you call them, massages, I guess, that you can do on your hands. I've never tried them, so I have no information about it. I just know that's something that people talk about.
Yeah, I should look into it, because I know like, I mean, rheumatoid arthritis isn't the same as regular arthritis for like but it can like that be like that repetitive motion can become like a flare up, and so it probably would still help to do some of that. So yeah, I should look into that. I just haven't like, one thing is like getting diagnosed right before I move. I'm like, I haven't even really like had it, other than like my doctor giving me medication. I haven't been able to really research. It's like part of being settled here. I'm like, okay, I need to like start like an anti-inflammatory diet, and I need to like do these things, but like it's hard to do when you're upheaval life. So yeah, I need to figure out those things. So now I'm just trying to test like what my levels are for doing repetitive like crafting type things.
Yeah. Well, and it's also hard when you find that out right before you're like, well, I'm going to be moving and picking stuff up constantly. Like it's the worst.
Yeah, like I was in like so much pain the day after, like, you know, like they move all the stuff in, but then you have to move it around and like put it in the right way.
Like unpacking and
and after that I was like, okay, I need to space this out, because now I'm like barely able to move the next day. So it is like figuring out like what you can do in like a certain time period and all that.
Yeah. Natalie says, have not crafted this session, but I have still been cleaning. That's good.
That's a good thing.
Much needed cleaning, by the way. Oh, I'm glad that we've been company. Yeah, cleaning the bathrooms is like my least favorite chore of any kind. Like I did that a couple weeks ago, and or like I specifically remember doing it, and I'm like, I hate this. Like it needs to be done, but I hate it.
Yeah.
I actually like my least favorite in the bathroom though is like the tub, because I mean like
that is my least favorite.
How do you clean that? Like I mean,
it's such an awkward angle.
Mhm.
Like yes, I hate it.
And so much space too. So much.
Yeah, I saw this thing that was a bunch of people on like TikTok or Instagram making videos about how like one person said like, oh, when I clean, I like make up a story in my head about being, like some like fantasy story about like why they're cleaning, and then other people being like, this is genius, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, oh, I did that all the time as a kid. Like I had one specific story that I had in my head, that because my job a lot of times was washing the floors as a kid, and I did not like, I don't know why, but I was very against mops. My preferred method of washing, yes, my preferred method of washing the floors was like bucket with like a rag on my hands and knees.
This is Disney princess level. Like
it wasn't even that I was imagining I was Cinderella or anything. I had this story in my head about how, like, I don't remember all the details, but essentially I was a character who was like traveling, and that I needed a place to stay. Like it was storming outside, and I found this inn that I was like, I'll like clean for like room and board for a night, and then like essentially that was the storyline. And so I would like I always would like set it up so that I would do it like right before I was going to like eat dinner or something. So it could be like, oh, when you finish cleaning, then they give you like your dinner. And then I would go take a shower, and then I would go like lie down in my room. And I also had a part of my storyline that was like, it wasn't a real room, it was like a storage room, which explained why my room was so messy.
I like the attention to detail.
Yes.
Like, the realism.
So
that's hilarious.
I need to bring that back though, because it was great and it made the whole process so much more fun.
I need to try this, honestly. Got your husband to do the tub. He uses a drill to blast it because you have hard water that solidifies. Yeah, I think in my area we have pretty hard water as well.
Wow.
I need to try that imagination thing, because although I do not specifically dislike mops, I really hate vacuum cleaners. Like, or the sound, like just the sensory experience is
this
like,
is the thing I was just wondering about, because I've always hated vacuuming like so intensely, and then I only just realized maybe it's that I hate the sound.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should try vacuuming. I have noise canceling headphones that I just got like 2 months ago, and I was like, I should try vacuuming with my headphones on and see if it's less of a terrible experience. Maybe that's
funny,
why.
Like, I have known my whole life that I hated the sound, and it like never occurred to me to try headphones. I am like wearing headphones now. Like
earplugs, headphones. Like I should try. I never like thought about doing that, and I was like, maybe I should.
And I like vacuuming is one of my favorite things, because I'm like, minimal effort, but you see, especially having 3 cats, you see the evidence that it is now cat-free hair, like free of cat hair. But like, it only took me like a couple minutes to like
yeah.
That's true.
Honestly, I would. That also just makes so much sense, because I'm like, I would rather sweep, and then I'm like, probably because it's quiet.
Yeah.
I have always like preferred to sweep rather than use a vacuum. Like, and it's partly like, I think it's partly that it is loud, but it's also like the specific kind of loud noise. Like I like can't even be like in the same house as like a vacuum that is like being run. Like it's like real bad. Yeah, it's, I don't know why, it's just like a sensory thing that my body is just like, no, abandon ship. Like
you and like all pets, so you're not alone. You're in good company.
Next time I'll just hide under a bed. Like it'll be fine.
That's what you do. Is like, then your imagination is, I am a cat who is afraid of vacuums. Yes. But also, I feel like there's something about the motion of it that I don't like, because I also hate mopping. That there's something about that motion that I just hate, that I'm like, I would rather like get down on my hands and knees and like hand scrub this entire floor than have to do whatever this motion is.
For me, the reason I don't like mopping is that like there are steps involved. Like,
yes,
you have to like first like clear the clutter, and like, I mean, like, especially now with kids, like, you have to like pick up all the little toys that are gonna like be eaten by the like vacuum, or like in the way of the mop, you know, and then you have to like sweep or vacuum, and then you mop, and it's like 3 steps.
Yeah. I like those like Swiffer type things that do all the other steps for you.
I just feel like they never fully clean, unless it's like, it depends on the floor. Because if it's like a wood floor, I don't believe that they truly clean. If it's like a laminate, like tile or laminate floor, and like, all right, right, yeah. I don't know. Somehow I'm like, the wood absorbs it somehow. Yeah. You know, you have to have like really.
Well, it is really nice. Like, so I have laminate floors now, and it is really nice how easy it is to clean compared to everything else. And I think it looks even nicer than like actual wood floors, because it's like smoother. I don't know. It's just, I like it a lot better, and it is way less stressful when like I spill something and it's like, oh, okay, I can just wipe that up. Like,
well, you don't have the dips, like, because we had at the last house, we had all hardwood floors like throughout the bottom, and like you'd be mopping and I'm like scrubbing, thinking it's like a spot on the floor, and then I'm like, oh, that's like a dent in the wood or like a knot in the wood, and I'm just like the last couple of minutes trying to scrub that food off. That's not even food. Where laminate, you wouldn't have that.
Yeah. I think one of the most like frustrating cleaning experiences for me is like having to wash something so that I can use it immediately. I hate that. Like, even so, like if I'm like doing dishes and I'm like, well, I'm gonna need this glass, I will like put the glass that I just cleaned away and get out a different glass, because I just like I just hate feeling like I'm wasting my time. Like,
that is hilarious. Well, we have that. Okay, so now this rental does not have a dishwasher. It's like a very small kitchen. It has like 4 cupboards. So we only took out very minimal stuff. So we were like, we have 4 small plates, 4 medium plates, and 8 big plates in case we have guests, and like 4 small bowls and 4 medium bowls, so that we would have 8 for guests or whatever. So like there's 4 of us in the house. So if we you want a bowl twice a day, then you have to clean.
Yeah, you're out of luck. Sorry.
So like, yeah, it's just like I constantly have to like wash things to use them immediately. So that would
Yeah. Yep.
But so it means like constant dishes, but that means there's not a pile up of dishes, because there are not very many dishes. And like for cups, we have like 4 cups literally. So I was like, well, we'll be okay. We can always get like paper or plastic if we really need it. But like I use like a reusable, like this kind of cup. I don't need like a glass.
Yeah.
So it's very much a different experience to have like only like 3 or 4 cupboards. Have to like figure out how to have a whole kitchen worth of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always just feel like cleaning the bathrooms for some reason is just the worst to me.
Yeah. I think it's specifically, it's like because I know it is like actually dirty, whereas with other things it's like, yeah, this is annoying, but like if I'm just like cleaning counters or something, like obviously it's important to actually clean those too, but it's just the stakes are different.
I had a roommate so when I was in college, I lived in like an apartment with a couple of friends that I was just like, I had to like explain to them how to clean things, which I was like, have you never cleaned anything in your life? Because we would like rotate what our tasks were. And like one of them, I had to explain like when your like job for the week is cleaning surfaces in the kitchen, you have to use more than just water. Like that's not cleaning. That's just like, that's not the same.
Wiping. That's wiping.
Right, which is fine for like day to day, but if you're doing the like once a week cleaning, you have to use some soap, disinfectant, something else.
Well, and especially it's like, okay, if you're just like slicing vegetables or something, like it's fine. But if you're doing like chicken or something, like you need to actually clean that afterwards. You can't just like rub a washcloth over it. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing. I had to explain to people how to clean a toilet. Like no one understood how, like with toilet cleaner, like how it's like the bottles are curved, and like I just was like, all right. So we had a bunch of like, this is how you clean kind of things, which was very interesting. But yeah.
I had one of my college roommates she just didn't clean. Like it wasn't that she didn't know how. And it was just like a really weird experience with her in general, because I like for most of the year I felt like she hated me, and then every once in a while we would have like a conversation that was completely normal, and I was like, this is nice, maybe we're okay now. And then like, so I don't know if she just was like incredibly like socially stressed or what. Like I don't know what was going on, but like, so it wasn't something where I felt like I could be like, oh hey, don't forget, like it's your week to clean the bathroom or whatever. So I would almost always do it, like, because I'm like, okay, the thought of having to like catch her at some point and be like, hey, can you do this thing that is your I was like, I'll just do it myself. Natalie says the stakes are different. The stakes are more foreboding. That is the most ominous way to describe cleaning a bathroom, but like, I agree. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Especially if you have hard water. Ours had like that where the toilets looked black at the bottom, and I'm like, not dirt. This is like the buildup from the water, and I'm like, you can't get rid of that. I mean, like you try the pumice stone and everything, like you can't get rid of that. And I'm like, it just makes me feel like everything's dirty, but it's not. It's just stained.
Yep.
And it made me grumpy, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about like Huck just like Cinderella cosplay, just like scrubbing an entire floor like by hand.
The entire like main level of the house.
Oh my gosh.
Scrubbing the floor.
I just can't.
And I did not have to. My mom, like my job was to mop the floor. I could have mopped it in the normal way and it would have been so much faster. And I was like, no.
Well, I do remember as a kid just taking a long I mean, maybe because we had less electronics, less like stuff like that. But like when I did dishes as a kid, I just remember taking forever. I probably was doing it for like an hour. I was just like,
oh yeah,
scrubbing each dish for like a whole minute and on each side, and like just taking my time, humming my music, whatever, creating my story. And like nowadays I'm like, just get it done. Like
Yep.
I do hate doing dishes. That's the other. I don't know why, but I just hate it so much. I hate like the ones that make you like wet also, where it's like you have to like, I don't know.
You have to like wrestle it into the sink, and then it looks like you like
and sometimes there's like soggy food on it that I'm like, I don't want to touch that, and like, I just hate it.
And then your water becomes all gross, and you're still washing, and like,
and it splashes you sometimes, and you're like, great, now I'm like my shirt's wet, like,
yeah, and that's what I'm like. We have to wash all the time, and like, I think my husband teases me because I'm like pre-washing, and I'm like, well, because I don't want like the entire sink filled with bits that I'm putting my hand in to wash the next dish. Like,
I think one of the reasons why I get so annoyed with like dish related, I mean, I do find it satisfying when they're done, as opposed to some other kinds of cleaning where I'm like, I know I need to do this, but I don't even feel like good about it afterwards. The thing that like I think I hate about dishes is like, because it is like a daily thing, that just like gets to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna be doing this every day until I die, which is like just that's such a dramatic way to like think about doing dishes. But I think that's why I don't like that
That's
as
what
a
annoys
task.
me about laundry.
Yeah.
Is that I'm like, after I do laundry, I'm like, I don't want to like wear clothes for a couple days so I don't have to like, you know, not that I like want to not wear clothes, but I don't want to like make any of my clothes dirty for like a few days because I'm like, I just did this.
See, that's what I was saying
Yeah,
about washing
exactly.
a dish and then immediately having to use it.
Right.
I'm like, no. Like, I know
Right.
it's not a waste of time, but it felt like a waste of time. Like,
Every once in a while, my computer just decides to like reboot. So if I ever look like I'm just sitting here, like not responding to what you're saying or reacting in any way, it's because like I didn't like hear anything you said for like the last minute.
oh no. I find it so odd that like your computer keeps doing that, but like your connection doesn't like do
like
anything.
It's just showing me, right? But like you guys will become little swirls for like a minute, and then it like I don't know why it's doing that.
Yeah, my computer has done that before too, so I wonder if it could just be like a connection type thing. I don't know.
So I'm like, I'm probably just sitting here looking like I don't care what you're saying, but it's like I literally can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, so Kelly's not bored; she's just fighting her computer,
waiting to be able to hear again. But
yeah.
Technology. Oh, I'm just like realizing, like, do Huck and I have like matching? Because I think this is my Tamara Pierce right here, right?
Oh yeah, this is my Tamara Pierce.
Mine's not facing outwards though. Oh, and I don't have the Badger one, so I'll just put this.
Oh, this is the only one that I have in this edition. I have different editions for all the ones because I have the ones that I grew up with, but I wanted the Badger one specifically.
Yeah. I really like these editions. That's why I got them. I got this and the Song of the Lioness in this edition because I just think they're pretty. But because I only have this one spot for books in this house, I only put out books I have to read, like to be read. I packed away everything I've already read.
Yeah. I really like these editions of the Wild Magic ones. I like the artwork. These are the ones that I like originally read as a kid.
It's like classic fantasy, but not like cheesy looking.
Yeah, I like that artwork better than like these are the like Alana ones. I don't like this artwork as much as the art style of the Wild Magic.
And your Wild Magic one, it's like I love those like naked hardbacks. They're kind of like the Hardy Boys, but you know, like where you still have the artwork all naked. I like
I am still waiting, Huck, for your Badger themed reading vlog.
Oh my god.
Kelly's waiting
I'm not
too.
making any videos right now. So
that would be funny though if your comeback was like Badgers. Like Badger reads
no
his back.
Explanation for what's been going on, just like I'm back and we're talking about Badgers. Buckle up.
We're gonna talk about fungus. Badgers and fungus. This is gonna happen. That would be hilarious.
I do like every time I come across a book that has some kind of badger creature in it, I'm like, Huck, like I've got another one for your list. Well, and I was thinking, Kelly, like the Clockwork Boys series, I feel like the Knolls, you could definitely count them as Badger-esque. So
don't they describe them as being like
looking looking like basically badgers, but like upright and
talking.
Close enough. Yeah, I think I have that series on my list. I have a whole list. I have a lot of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have Hot and Badger?
You have to read Clockwork Boys because the Knolls are like the best.
They are so
fantasy character.
Great. Yeah,
they're like Ewok level, like just like cute and funny and like
And also, it's like they're fun and quirky, but it's also like there's some really intricate backstory and world building, and I love that. Like,
and I that's the thing. Have you read Sword Heart, Huck, or not?
No, is that also T. Kingfisher?
Yeah. Kelly and I wouldn't recommend it, but I
would recommend. Which is so. I think that we are like the minority. Like everybody else is like Sword Heart, but they haven't read Clockwork Boys, and I'm like, Clockwork Boys just has like this whole lore, and then Sword Heart's like, we're just gonna put these characters in, but we're not gonna give any explanation of their lore because that was all in Clockwork Boys. And I'm like, people, Clockwork Boys has the like the backstory.
Are they connected?
Very loosely. It's like they're in the same world, and there are parts of Sword Heart where I'm like, I don't think this would be very interesting if you haven't read Clockwork Boys, but I think you can follow the story.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it'd be confusing. I just think you wouldn't be as like interested in some of the things that happen. But yeah, I'm like really behind on my wrap ups, so I'm only now editing where I talk about like the Sword Heart, and like I just was so disappointing. I can't get over the fact that like literally the whole plot of the book is going back and forth on the same road.
Mhm.
Like, what?
And having like the same conversation most of the time.
Yes.
It's like, what is happening here?
Like, whereas I loved Nettle and Bone, which is also a journey book, and I think has some kind of similar character types in a way. And then the same with the Clockwork Boys ones. I'm like, T. Kingfisher has done something like this so much better. So, and I think also like I'm bummed because Sword Heart has been one of the ones of hers that I was like most excited to get to because I just thought I would really like the character dynamics, and I did not.
Yeah. Well, and so many people have been praising it lately because, because of What Moves the Dead coming out and everybody like, hyping that, they've gone back. And for some reason, people have gone back to Sword Heart instead of the Clockwork Boys. And I'm like, no. You need to go all the way back to Clockwork Boys because it's just, I don't know. I just feel like the characters, the setting, the lore, everything is better.
And like, Hala as a main character, she just feels so like forced.
Mm-hmm.
And I like in T. Kingfisher's other books, like I really love her main characters, and I'm like, Hala to me feels like a parody of other characters that she's done. Like, I don't know, it's almost like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but like make it fantasy. It just
it
was
I don't know, it's weird. And I'm like, especially if people came to her through What Moves the Dead, I would be like, well, then you should have gone to like what's the one that's like the Bluebeard retelling?
Oh, Seventh Bride. Yeah, that one's really good.
I would have thought that you should go to that one next if that was like, if you want to go back based on What Moves the Dead. If you were like Nettle and Bone, then yes, I think that like Clockwork Boys is the one to like go back to if you like Nettle and Bone. Like, so really we should just do a video about like
let's do it. Yeah. A joint guide on how to read T. Kingfisher, and honestly, I would love to do a collab like that. Let's make it happen.
I feel like I have to read her other newer one, The House with
Good Bones.
Yeah, I feel like I have to. That's like the other like new popular one.
And then she has another one called Thornhedge coming out, right?
I have that pre-ordered. I'm so excited.
I am so excited because that's a Sleeping Beauty, right?
But it's like a really weird one. And it kind of gives me like Rapunzel vibes because I think she's like in a tower or something. I don't know. I'm excited for that one. I don't think I have any current plans to read her other horror books. Like A House with Good Bones does sound interesting, but I read her is it The Hollow Places? Is that the one with the creepy willows?
I haven't read it, but I want to read it. Yeah.
Okay. And it was like okay. Like there were parts that I enjoyed, and I feel like the creepiness was done really, really well. While not being like too much for me because like I'm a scaredy cat about horror. But I think I love her fantasy. Yeah. And I don't know that her horror is for me. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I think both could work for me because like I also love her short story collection, Jackalope Wives. That had like a combination of both fantasy and like one of the most creepiest short stories I've ever read that like haunts me. But
no big deal. It just haunts me to this day.
Kelly's like, I'll never sleep again. Anyway, like I haven't read that collection yet, but I have read one of her other short story collections that I really enjoyed, which is the Halcyon Fairy book, which is like hard to, I think it's like out of print, unfortunately, but you can get the ebook, I think. But like I have really enjoyed those, so I need to read more short stories. I think Kelly's video froze.
Oh yeah.
Kelly, come back. Let me see. I wonder if I like. Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, okay,
you went away again, and I was like,
"This time you froze."
Okay, this time you froze. Yeah,
we could tell.
Okay, you're all very laughing, strange. And then you went away.
Kelly's like, I just
No
want to have a
laughter
good
for
time.
you.
Yeah.
Laugh to have a good time. I'm just like, everything stopped. At least I froze this time and I didn't just look bored while you all were laughing.
Yeah. Like, I don't remember what book were we talking about specifically. Oh, it was the Halcyon Fairy book. So I have read other short stories by her, but not that collection yet. I'm excited though, and nervous now.
It was the Jackalope Wives is the one with the creepy one.
Yeah. I do like the way she does creepy stuff though. Like I really liked Bryony and Roses, which is like, you know, her Beauty and the Beast one, which I know you have also read, Kelly. And it's like not a creepy book overall, but there's that one part near the end where I'm like, oh.
She always has at least one creepy moment. No, this was like one story in that collection was just like, oh my gosh, this is like super creepy. And you know, like everybody has different levels of what creeps them out. It just happened to be this specific one. I was like, you went dark there.
I'm very curious now. Like,
yeah, but a lot of them were really fascinating in that one too.
Yeah.
And I also think it's like, so I have a friend that I want to recommend her to, but my friend can't handle rats. And for some reason, Kingfisher puts rats in so many of her books.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah. And so I'm like, I can't even like tell her to read the books because I'm like, oh, there's rats in it. And my friend can't handle it. But like that, like Clockwork Boys has creepy rats. And
oh, yeah. Those are extra creepy rats too.
Creepy rats, yeah. And I know it was in other ones because I remember when they come up because then I'm like, well, I know I can't recommend this one. And so I know it's come up in other ones. I just can't remember which ones. But yeah, she uses the same kind of like creepy, like it's like creepy rats and birds are often like.
Yes. I was going to say like the Seventh Bride. I don't remember. It does have rats?
It has creepy birds.
Oh, okay. Does she also not like creepy birds?
No, but I find birds creepy, so.
Just like in general, blanket statement. I don't mess with birds. Like,
they have very sharp beaks.
They do. Well, and like I will never watch Hitchcock's The Birds. Yeah, like I will not. So I understand. Like I don't find just like your average, you know, non-evil bird creepy, but yeah. Yeah, The Seventh Bride is one where like, and I don't know if I would still feel this way now because I've read like scarier books since then, but I remember when I read it, I'm like, this is almost like fantasy horror in some parts. Like that one wife that's like, Huck, you haven't read that one, have you?
No.
It definitely
it's very good, but there are some parts where it's like, I did not know I was signing up for this.
Like, yeah. Well, like I'm not afraid of like the average songbird or something like that, but like, you know, crows are super smart animals, and they say they remember if you do something like mean to a crow.
Grudges.
They hold grudges. And I'm like, the fact that this animal can hold a grudge and be like vindictive towards me, I'm like, no, I'm not messing.
Just don't be mean to a crow.
Right. Like I kind of respect it, but it is like, yeah. What's that? Oh my gosh, I just learned, my brother is the one who told me this. Like, apparently, I think it's wasps or hornets. I think wasps. They recognize faces. Like they can recognize faces. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like,
not okay.
That's no.
Patting on the door.
Look at the baby.
So he was like, please let me in.
He's like, you have to pay attention to me.
Yes.
What a cutie.
He's the same one that like anytime I do a video, he like comes running and he wants to be there while I'm, and so I don't know if it's like him hearing my voice.
Yeah.
Like, well, you must need me because you're talking.
Yes. He was born for a career in show business, I think.
Exactly.
So
I have a face for video.
Except he doesn't want to be in the video. Like now he's like, oh, I'm just gonna like explore the room, see what's happening. I just want to be in the same room.
Yeah. Parallel play.
Yes, that's right.
That's one of those little cat GoPros so you can like see things from his perspective.
That would be, I wonder like what would be like for a day of like seeing what my cat is like watching.
Yeah.
Yes.
I probably should get going though, because it is pretty late for me, and I actually have to do a different craft That is not one that I can sit and do because I have to actually sew it like on my sewing machine.
Okay.
So I have to go finish that.
All right. We will let you go. Thank you again, my crafting crew. Reminder that Kelly and Huck are both linked in the description. And yeah, thank you if you were hanging out with us. Thank you to those of you who watch it back later, especially because I'm getting close to the monetization level for YouTube finally. So I really appreciate everybody who watches old live streams. That's great. And yeah, we will be back for more crafty fun and one reading sprint at a future time, because that's kind of our thing is yep. Yeah, thank you for being here, Natalie, and we will see you guys later.
Bye.